reaction to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Patrick Meagher, Dustin Swedelson, VSiN Live.
All right, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, as we say hi. Finally, Game 4, I guess it would be 3 of the NBA. See, that's what you did, that hippie. David Silver, Adam Silver, whatever he calls himself. Now, I hope he wasn't listening to Steve Torrey right before we joined you here, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, because people are pissed about the NBA. People are pissed about the NBA Finals. Obviously, the ratings are indicative of that. And I don't necessarily know if this is a cheap plug. But first off, Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher. You, 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. Brandon's in New York City. Our buddy Ryan Smith in Vegas. YouTube at VSiN Live. Go ahead. Give us a follow there. Jump in the chat. Listen, it's not a cheap plug, but I do think there's a couple of things. And we've been harping on, obviously, the ratings with the smaller markets, with the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then, look, I mean, as good as this Stanley Cup final is, it's just not rating in the United States. Obviously, up in Canada, they're going to watch, but it's just not rating in the United States. And I think a lot of this has to do with, first off, what we're doing and what we're talking to you, our purpose here on VSiN Live, and that's sports betting. I don't think people like betting the NBA, and I know they don't bet the NHL. And I know 99% of you are going to bet the NFL. And then, just so you know, if you're uninitiated, the second most bet sport is then going to be college football. So it's football, and then everything else is kind of picking up the pieces. You know, you have the U.S. Open tomorrow, Oakmont Country Club in Pennsylvania. You know, there's a small niche of people that are going to bet on golf. There's going to be people across the world that are betting football, a.k.a. soccer. That is going to be bet everywhere across the world except the United States. The sport that is bet here is the NFL. And the rise in popularity of the NFL. There are many, many factors for the rise in popularity, but fantasy football certainly played a part. That is a watered-down version of betting, and people have been betting on the NFL, and the point spread is easy to follow. It's just a sport that lends itself to betting, and people have been betting on it for as long as the day is. So the concept that then you had the daily fantasy, which then whet the appetite for people to get into big-time betting. Now, this is not a discourse about what you believe betting is, what it should be. I don't care about that. I'm a person that says, you do what you got to do. You take care of yourself. So I'm just talking about it from a macro level. I know for a fact people don't like a bet in the NBA. If you notice, when we have NBA prognosticators on, and Dustin bets the NBA a lot, but what do they focus on? Propositions. They're focusing on the propositions, and therein lies one of the bigger issues with the NBA. You can't say, well, tonight I like the Pacers catching 5.5. You're going to bet the Pacers on the money line. You're trying to determine, are the Thunder or the Pacers going to win, because so many of these games are 20 points either way. So there's just blowout after blowout. So then the market starts to focus on, all right, do I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to go over 31 points, 32 points, whatever his point prop is tonight? Is this dude going to get this many rebounds, this many dimes over here, this many three-pointers made? The prop market, proposition market continues just to explode. And, you know, you can point to the NFL as far as propositions and other sports, but the NFL big time back in the day, starting up the prop market in earnest, and then now that is splintered into every other sport. It's just it is almost funny, and we are going to see, if you think tonight is going to be weekly rated, and that is Game 3 tonight in Indiana, wait until Game 4. Because Game 4 is coming up on Friday night. That, by my math, is going to be June 13th, probably about 3 days away from the official start of summer, and it's going to be on Friday. Friday is where sporting events and TV shows go to die. You remember TGIF? They called it that because they needed a fun moniker to get idiots like the big guy to watch, you know, Full House hanging out in San Francisco with the chick that married the guy from the Vancouver Canucks. That's what they did. They had to say TGIF. Thank goodness it's Friday, so a bunch of lemmings would be like, oh, I guess it is Friday. I guess I'll watch. right? So point is, nobody's going to watch the NBA on Friday, and then the conversation on Monday after Father's Day, and happy Father's Day to the dads out there, maybe a little underappreciated, always dogs in the market. Dads, you didn't push it. The bottom line is when we get here on Monday, mark the tape, Adam. Dog will open with the NBA rating on Monday. He'll lose his stack, and he'll be telling you what, quote, a disaster it is. And you know it. You know that's right. You've been around here long enough. You've been around the block. But that is, now, a big announcement yesterday on the program. This is a Pacer show, so we're going to be going Pacers plus 180 on the money line. I know that's right. And we might be the only two watching, along with maybe my buddy Tony in Dallas and Tony in Detroit, frankly. There's probably 4 people watching tonight. We'll add to the rating. But outside of that, I heard Steve talking about the Dodgers-Padres. And by the way, the Dodgers 2 of 3 from the Padres today. You like to see it here in Los Angeles where there's other stuff going on. Trust me when I tell you nobody's focused on the Dodgers right now. But we're missing the star power. Dustin and I have been talking about, why. I wonder why, if it's a good brand of basketball, why that would have an impact on the ratings. All I know is there's a reason Stephen A. Smith is coming to Mad Dog Sports Radio beyond the fact that he's eminently talented. He knows how to hit the high notes. And guess what? Why is it that when LeBron is playing, this rating would be doubled? I thought you hated LeBron. I thought you hated Los Angeles. But for some reason, the intrigue factor is there. And then we get this compelling series where it's tied up at ones. The team that was a 10-point dog in game 1 won in a classic final 2 minutes, and nobody gives a flip. Now, game 2 on Sunday was a freaking disaster. I'm not going to lie to you. And game 3 in the Stanley Cup final after 2 legendary games was a disaster. I can't lie to you there either. But that's a great series. That will continue to be a great series. And tonight becomes the tipping point. Because if the Pacers were to win this one tonight, the whole entire narrative flips for the people that actually are paying attention. And then what do? We just try to hold on. The storm is coming. July, that is sports in America, where you don't really care about baseball until, obviously, the fall. And that's literally all you got. And we're sitting here talking about, do you think the Cleveland Browns are going to win 5.5, or do you think they're going to win 6 or 5? Because that's what we're going to do. And we filled content like that for freaking years at VSiN. Because people love it. They eat it up. Because the NFL is king. Again, 50 million average wild card weekend. 4.5 are watching the playoffs in the NBA. Just different planets. We have to start recalibrating and reframing what we consider to be the 4 majors. There's the NFL, and then there's the 3. The NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NHL. Now, I'm not down because, like I said, to start this, if you're betting tonight's game, you're going to be one of those people rated as watching the game. It adds something to it, people. If you're in a state where you can just hop on an app like Steve Torrey about 3.5 gummies in after the 2 weeks you people have put them through, how can you be mean to the be well, be good person? Be well, be safe. Isn't that how he logs off? And then you're going to be mean to him. Anyway, Torrey will be watching because Torrey can get on his app and he can bet the game. That's the difference, big guy, as we say hi to Dustin Swedelson. I'm not down on it. I'll be watching the game tonight. I'm in, and we're going to get a fat price on Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers. What up?
Well, what I heard from you, too, is that there's pressure on the Pacers, because I do believe there's a world where if they win tonight and make it interesting, all of a sudden all the donks that don't have their TVs on that are binging Netflix right now, they're going to flip over to the NBA because all of a sudden the belief is we have a series. But to your greater point, everyone's just fighting for crumbs. It's the NFL's world. Everyone's just trying to pick up a little bit here and there, then get off the ground before it gets swept up, because the NBA regular season's completely irrelevant. No one pays attention, which makes the postseason even harder. And I'll admit, I was completely wrong. I thought this would rate better because I believed, and this is my fault for falling for social media, that the NBA was bigger than it was nationally, internationally, because of the way it's presented on social media, that more people cared. It's very clear most people do not care about the NBA. Then hockey.
Go ahead.
Here you go.
No, I was just going to say, you mentioned the NFL, but how many weeks into the Thursday night games is Dog going to go until he says, do we really need a game on Thursday?
Do we need Jacksonville Titans on a Thursday?
No, but it's not just Dog. We do get fatigue even during the NFL season. So I think it's just we like to bitch. I interrupted. Go ahead.
So the dings against the other sports. With the NBA, I mentioned the load management, regular season doesn't matter, long season, and it doesn't have the Q rating that it appears to have on the internet. Then the NHL, all we say is that the playoffs are the best, but we never talk about how good the regular season is. We don't think about it because the ante is upped once we get to the postseason with the hockey. And then baseball doesn't even rate. It's not even in the conversation. And in the summer, people would rather have you talk about NFL win totals or preseason NFL game handles will be higher than the entire day's baseball card. You can lock that in. A preseason game where third, fourth, fifth stringers, guys who are going to play in the UFL, if that even still exists, that will get more of a handle behind the counter than baseball games on those given days. That lets you know where baseball is. And what I'm coming back to here is the regular season. In the NFL, the regular season matters week in and week out. And from a betting perspective, every team, good or bad, matters week in or week out.
So there's a little bit. So you're going back to the concept of fatigue. Like if you're going to give us 82 of non-competition, you're going to give us 82, both hockey and now hockey's a little bit different. Hockey really can't be discussed the same way NBA in America, the NBA and Major League Baseball is, because it's the ultimate niche sport. Hockey, I walk around here near the beach in Los Angeles, you see a million Kings flags. There are your hockey-pocketed fans. I'm not going to pretend like they're not. So that's a little different. But if you're talking about the NBA in particular, there are many factors. And whether it be social concerns, which I won't get into, that's not my bag, okay? We get that. But anybody that wants to bitch about the concept of load management, these players not caring, and this sport is at a tipping point is 100% right, and they're not bitching. No. You are not bitching. The sport sucks. And I'm saying this as a person that grew up in Michigan with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars into the Hard Hat Pistons. Couldn't love the sport more growing up. It has flipped. It is, and it's just, again, it's a carryover effect, and then all of a sudden the perfect storm of Oklahoma City and Indianapolis, and it becomes a bigger discussion. The league doesn't have us to blame for this conversation. They can point the finger at themselves. The player empowerment has completely crushed it. And Greg Popovich has to take something on this as well, because Popovich thought he was playing chess while everybody was playing checkers, and he essentially started the resting the player movement, and everybody then copied. You know, like the wildcat in the NFL. The load management became a thing like corner threes, and now it's just permeating the sport, and people get pissed, and 2 months of playoff basketball becomes tiresome.
Yeah, and Adam Silver's partially to blame as well, because the player empowerment thing, what did the league start doing? The NBA started promoting players, not teams. When we were younger, it was about Bulls, Pistons. Sure, it was about Jordan and Isaiah, but it wasn't about the individuals as much as it was about the team. And I understand that's how you do promotions, but the more it made about, they made it about the specific superstars around the NBA, the more the fans changed how they consume it and how they are fans. And I bet you if you polled NBA fans under the age of 30, most of them these days do not have allegiances to teams. They follow players. There are LeBron fans and KD fans, and wherever they go, that's who they root for. And that's an issue at hand here too, because if you're not going to be a fan and go through the grind with your team every step of the way and you're only fans of the superstars, well, we find ourselves in a NBA Finals right now where there is only one superstar, and it's SGA. Everyone else is really, really good, but not someone that has a fan base behind them nationally and internationally, and that's an issue here. The younger fan base does not build, does not win and lose and live and die with one organization. They care about one player, and they'll follow them for their careers.
Well, the SGA point is a good one, because all we've been waiting for is a classy, well-spoken, well-mannered kid to be the face of the NBA, and nobody cares about him. And he couldn't be more. He couldn't be a better person. He just couldn't. And the NBA also, you mentioned social media. It's an indignant, self-indulgent, self-righteous group of people that cover the sport that is off-putting as well. So,
yes,
again, we have an hour and 14 minutes until the game tips. I assure you we're going to get to the betting angles. I assure you we're going to get to the game proper. But I just heard the Tory conversation coming into us, and it sparked this. It is an issue, and there were a couple very good callers on it that I wanted to follow up on.
With all that said, I'm into this series. I'm enjoying the basketball. I know we're coming off a blowout, but Indiana winning game one gave it some life, made it interesting. And the reason we became a Pacers show is the situation Indiana finds themselves in. They've eliminated home court advantage from the series. They come back home now, and that place is going to be rocking. When we talk about sports at the highest level, when we talk about championship series, you know what we want? We want a home court to be crazy. We want a college-like atmosphere.
Yeah.
OKC usually has that. We're going to get to see Indiana, where those fans have been thirsty for an opportunity like this to go nuts. And because they're coming back 1-1, I wouldn't take too much about the blowout loss in game two. The Indiana Pacers did what they needed to do. They took their foot off the accelerator, and they're actually in the driver's seat of this series.
I totally agree. We had an announcement on the show that this is a Pacers show. It's not because we think the Pacers are going to win the series. We need the Pacers for some juice. So we are team Pacer, ride or die, and it's going to make us look stupid because we called the defense of Oklahoma City an all-time great. No, we need the Pacers to provide us something so we could stretch this series a little bit. And you mentioned game two on Sunday. The Indiana needed nothing. They got the ideal situation coming back with home court, and you laid it out well yesterday when talking about game two in Edmonton. Double overtime, Florida picks up the W. That momentum going back to Florida, you could feel it in the barn in Sunrise. I have no clue what type of fans they are, but there was some momentum. There was some juice in the building because they came back 1-1, not down 0-2. That's the same scenario we're getting with the Pacers tonight hosting the Thunder. Or like everybody assumed that the Thunder in 4 or Thunder in 5, and all of a sudden we've got a 1-1 series. Throw out Sunday. Let's go. Put it this way. The fan perspective. If you're in Indianapolis and you were thinking about going to game 3, 0-2, I'd still love to go, but it's fine. It's expensive. 1-1, you're fighting for tickets. Because you can make a difference. You can make it. You feel like you can make a difference as a fan. I've been there at the Palace of Auburn Hills. People, look it up.
Let me look right now. I'm seeing tickets in Indiana. Hey, you're driving in your car. What's Indiana? What's the name of that state? I don't know what their nickname is. Whatever state nickname Indiana.
Hoosier?
If you're driving, it is Hoosier. That would make sense. You can get tickets right now for as low as $386. Walk in the door to a series where you're tied 1-1 in the finals for under $400. If you got 400 lying around, you're a Pacer fan, and you believe, like we believe, you should be at that game.
Believe Land. Wasn't that Cleveland?
That was.
$386. That's dinner for 4 down the road here. Come on, people. Go to the game.
Well, and ready, your point about Friday night where it's on TV, it's where ratings will go to die. The tickets on Friday, because people do what on Friday? They go out of their house, are $560. So think about that. More people willing to go out on a Friday than a Wednesday and spend that price of $560.
I hear you, brother. I'm right there with you. Hey, listen, if you think over this past 21 minutes I've been against you for 1 second, I've been with you the whole entire time. Yeah, I swear to you.
I know you are.
Yeah, no, I am.
We're aligned.
We're completely aligned. And those of you that don't know, the big guy, second time in 2 nights, will be flipping after VSiN Live, hosting his own show called Cashing Out on VSiN proper after. So follow the big guy over there. It's always interesting to see what he's going to be, how he's going to be Napoli attired, and how the hair is going to look. And then the content will follow.
I'm glad you brought that up. SiriusXM 158 for the VSiN channel, also YouTube TV. And I just want to add, I am unveiling a blazer I have never worn on camera today for tonight's show.
Do you have to clear it with your girlfriend?
I did already. She said, if you want to, go ahead.
I felt like there might be something.
Here's the exact quote. Why do you always have to be so loud? And it wasn't talking about the volume of my voice.
Right. No. I wouldn't say she's off, but she might be onto something. Obviously, you're going to try to make a statement with your attire to take them away from the content. I get it. It's an old hockey trick. May I ask, let's get to the series pricing. We'll get to the pricing on the game tonight. We'll try to find ways to make some money. I actually did bet Casey Mize and the Tigers are down 2-0. Eflin was on the bump for the Orioles. Are you kidding me? That guy's he's terrible. But the Tigers are in a 2-0 hole here. So we're going to have to make it up, people. The big guy, do you have the actual ratings from Sunday?
I'll get them. I know they came out yesterday.
Yeah. If you don't mind pulling that up for me, I am just curious because we knew the average for the NBA playoffs had been 4.5 million. I think I misquoted the French final. No. I was seeing everywhere 5.5. Dog said 2.5.
I think you keep getting the rating and the amount of viewers confused. Like there's a rating and then there's millions of viewers they do. Okay. Let me find it for you.
All right, I'll give you the odds for tonight while you effort that. Tonight it is still 5.5. So Oklahoma City, and this kind of plays into what we were talking about. If you're going to the game and it's tied 1-1, I mean, people know the betting line. And you're like, dude, we're 5.5-point dogs? We just beat you at home in game 1. What is this? Plus 180, meaning you bet $1, you come back $1.80. How about 100 to make 180 to make it easier? That's what the Pacers are tonight at home.
NBA Finals Game 2 averaged 8.76 million viewers. It's the lowest Game 2 since the 2020 bubble, and the only finals since 2007 where viewership dropped after Game 1. That's not a good look.
Well, no, I mean, that's actually fascinating. It dropped after the Dog
after
won.
The Pacers won, it made it real. Oh, my God. That is such a bad sign for the sport. Oh, my God.
I don't know what that – I don't know what that is. Now, we did talk about the actual timing of the series, and I think everybody would agree. The one problem I think the NBA had is they don't want to go up against a U.S. Open final round on Sunday, but it would have made a ton of more sense to go Tuesday, play Game 4 tomorrow night, and then, I don't know, if you want to play on Saturday, if you want to play on Sunday, that's fine. But taking this 3-day break and giving us a game on Wednesday and then giving us a game on Friday night, that's nonsensical. That's ridiculous.
No, you took away momentum. You took away all the momentum you had. Also, you have a chance to adjust here. I know a lot of these things are set in stone in advance, but you also don't have very much travel despite it being an East versus West in the NBA matchup in the finals. These two cities are really close. You could probably drive to each arena for each game if it's every other day.
I'm not huge with I'm not great with directions, but I don't think you're crazy. Ozarks up to Indianapolis? Doesn't seem crazy. Hey, do me a favor. Give me the series price, and we're going to take a break, come back with the calls. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. We're tied at 1 in the NBA final. Remember, it came in as the Oklahoma City, a crazy minus 700 favorite, and the adjusted price is what?
It is Thunder minus 525. Pacers are 4-1, and I lied. It is an 11-hour and 10-minute drive, 740 miles between Indy and Oklahoma City. But that's not horrible.
Yeah, that's quite a trip. Been there. I've made the drive from California to Michigan. I've made the drive from Vegas to Michigan. And you feel every minute of the trip. That's what I would say.
Also, there's not a lot to see, although it does go through Missouri. Maybe your spot of independence could be a good midway point for everyone to go check out Truman.
Most slept on part of the country, and I know this is going to come as a shock, the Plains. Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri. When you are just going across the great open plains and you can see as far as the eye will let you. And you see, I went one time with, Jeezy sitting right here. I went one time, I was in the car, and hours away, you could see a tornado. You could I could tell in about 2.5 hours, I was about to be driving into a tornado. And I did.
No, tapping out right there. The second those clouds start moving, I'm like Usain Bolt. I'm gone. The other direction, I want no part of it.
It was the worst because dogs can pick up on it. So about an hour out, she was looking at me like, "You good?" I'm like, "Nah, not really." And so I'm trying to find local. I'm on Sirius trying to find the forecast. I'm trying to find local on the old AM FM dial. And next thing you know, I'm pulled over on the side of the road waiting for the twister to pass.
And you don't have a clue if it's heading your way, if it's going around you, if it's what direction it's. You're screwed. You're screwed no matter what.
Yeah, but you know what? When the clouds parted and it cleared, beautiful part of the country.
Yeah, I'll take your word on that. I'll take your word on that.
You should give it a try. All right, there it is. The adjusted series price, 5.5 tonight with Oklahoma City laying it. Expectation, obviously, they're going to win it. 226 on the total. We're just getting started. Again, sorry to be negative. That's not the intent. But why don't you pull up the NHL, what they've done in the United States as compared to Canada? We'll come back with those numbers just out of curiosity. And we'll get to your calls. And let's get some picks in, too. If we are going to watch the series that nobody wants to watch, let's at least make some cash on it. So you tell us who you got tonight in Game 3 up in Indy. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Sweat your bets with VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, fair play. We are going to give you the hockey ratings, but first, VSiN is on SiriusXM Channel 158. Get 24/7 sports betting coverage on Channel 158 and on the SiriusXM app as an exclusive offer for SiriusXM listeners. Now, pay attention, because if you are betting golf or the basketball or the hockey, we've got you a full month for $1.58. So we've dropped it. It's a daily email with all the best bets, hosts and guests, exclusive betting splits, DraftKings, Circus Sportsbook, plus our NFL betting guide. It's going to drop in July, so get in now, vsin.com/subscribe. Use the promo code SIRIUS to get your first month for just $1.58. It's VSiN, the sports betting network, as we do welcome you back. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Promise coming to your calls here, 888-623-3646. Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Meagher. We are on YouTube at VSiN Live. So we gave you the lowest in a long time as far as the NBA Finals, a little over 8 million. Let's get to the hockey. Now, again, this is a great series, a rematch. Feels like you could either say fatigue or more intrigue because it's a rematch. Let's see what they've done both in the United States and Canada, big guy.
All right, Game 3 in the U.S. featured 2.3 million viewers. That was up 2.2 from Game 2. But 30% down from a year ago. It's the least watched Game 3 final since the COVID bubble. And in Canada, we were looking at 3.69 million for Game 3 viewership. So it's still not rating like it should.
I thought the 3.69 in Canada seemed light because there's 40 million people in Canada. It's your sport. And this is why you never know with ratings. You said they're a farce.
It's a scam.
I don't know that answer. I do have one word as to why I believe the ratings are 30% down from last year. And it has everything to do with my 72-year-old father. YouTube. People are caught up in the algo. I genuinely believe more and more people their time is being sucked, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing because we're on YouTube at VSiN Live. But I think once you click a video and they say, oh, you like that? You like that? And then they give you cousin style another video, and then you just find yourself away from the big screen to the small screen and stuck on YouTube. That's the only thing I can come up with.
Well, even 30%? More than that. You know, I think you're right about that. And it's more than just like watching long-form YouTube videos. It's the shorts. It's the Instagram reels. It's the TikTok society. I can watch an hour of my day go by in the blink of an eye if I just open one of those apps and start watching videos. You don't realize how quick the day goes, and all of a sudden you go, wait, I'm supposed to be asleep an hour ago. What am I doing here watching videos about people changing their oil?
I do believe there's something. I think there's something to the fact that more people listen to content about a basketball game than watch a basketball game.
That's a fact.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that says. I think people listen to content more than I think people listen to reviews and content about movies and TV shows without actually watching the shows. I don't know what that means. I'm just saying I think that's what it is.
Well, that's all sports right now. The conversation about the NBA is always greater than people who actually want to sit down and watch a game. That's where they're at. That's where the NFL is unique. People will actually sit down and watch the product, and then they can't talk about it enough.
Well, we're into it, and we're going to bet it, and we're going to watch it tonight. We're going to be here live with you. So 888-623-3646 if you have a take. Oklahoma City laying 5.5. And 226 on the total. We'll open up the phones in Jersey, and we'll start with John. Hi, John.
How you doing? Can you guys hear me okay?
Absolutely, John. We got you.
Okay, so I have to be honest with you guys, and I love listening to you, but there's something that's really annoying, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but you sound like you have a chip on your shoulder. My guess is that one of you or both of you are big NHL fans. Am I right or am I wrong or what?
No. Equal fans of both sports. Probably more NBA, actually.
Well, okay. Then what you're saying doesn't match up with that. And just think about the last 10 minutes of what you've spoken about. With regards to the NBA, I've heard you guys say how no one cares. The country's not interested. And I heard hysterical laughter talking about how, despite the Pacers winning game one, the ratings went down. It's as though you're putting down the sport. Now, let's look at the NHL, which, by the way, how many people – well, I won't insult the NHL. When you spoke about the NHL numbers, you were talking about, well, this is the reason why, and this is the reason why, and there's like you're making excuses. You barely mentioned how you said, I think, 2 million people watched the NHL play the finals in the NHL. If you're saying that people in America don't care about the NBA, and by the way, I got super into the Knicks-Pacers series. I don't usually watch the NBA. I didn't watch NBA during the regular season at all. That tells you where I am. I loved it when Jordan played. I wouldn't miss it then. But that's the kind of NBA fan I am now. Knicks Pacers, I loved every game. I loved watching it. But I don't know. It just sounds like you guys.
No, I get it. No. I get it. Listen, I said I feel like we're being negative, so I'm right there with you. Don't. You're probably right. We need to turn this ship around.
But we're not talking about us. We're talking about everyone else. Why is everyone else not into it? We have been into it.
No, but and let me correct. I think the 2.2 million or whatever it was for the NHL is a pathetic number.
Okay,
so John might have missed me say that. I think it's a pathetic number up in Canada.
It's embarrassing for Canada. But 340 million people live in the U.S. and we're saying 8.76 million. There's 40 million people in Canada, and we're saying 2.3 million in the U.S. watched, and 3.69 in Canada. They're both horrible ratings. Like, there's no way around it. But there's a lot more people in the U.S. who are not locked into the NBA right now. That is,
yeah. I mean, but
we are.
He is. No, and I understand. You and I are. Our point is we're frustrated. Not that we hate the sport. There are elements of what is happening within the sport that I do think is insidious. John just said it himself. He didn't like us bashing the NBA. He doesn't watch the NBA. So, Jordan, you mentioned an era where people were completely dialed in and something slipped. Don't know what it is. There's a lot of conspiracy theories around why the NBA is so hated at this point. I genuinely believe my point about YouTube is something.
No, and you were on the Netflix thing a long time ago saying people would rather watch Netflix than watch a random Tuesday game in any sport. Like, I do think that is where society is at because we just have more available to us than we ever had for content purposes. You want to watch anything about anything, go search that subject into YouTube, into Netflix. You will be busy until the sun comes up tomorrow. My issue with TV ratings used to be, and it still kind of is, why would I care if I enjoy watching something, how many other people wanted to watch with me? And it's really not our problem because our job is just to talk about it, right? It's the NBA's problem. And then the concern becomes, well, how much do you get to talk about this thing you like as people caring about it just dwindles by? As less and less people care, then us talking about it becomes less and less relevant, and then it's just the NFL year-round.
I miss the simpler times. I miss it. There's too many options. I got to go to that Rocket Mortgage and figure out what the hell I'm paying for. Rocket Money.
Hey, get me a landline and a newspaper sports page. Let's go back in time when things were a lot easier to understand.
There is a gentleman, and to be fair, he's probably in his 80s. But I walk by him every day, and he's got a nice house right by the water, and he's got a nice reading chair. And I think this guy is like my hero. Every day I walk by him, and he is literally sitting there, same time, same place, every day, with the big newspaper open and just reading the paper. And you know what I think to myself? That's a freaking American. That's the free press that he's reading right there. That's a goddamn man.
That guy doesn't put anything in his coffee.
No. All kidding aside, that's a freaking man. He's not sitting there looking at his phone, trying to figure out what thoughts are doing on TikTok. My man is grinding through A3, page 8, whatever the newspaper does these days.
I wouldn't know. That depresses me. I haven't picked up and held the newspaper, and I don't even, maybe before COVID.
You know my whole theory about newspapers. When you move to a new city, you subscribe to the local newspaper, and you give something to the community because it's all going to dry up, people, and you're going to be watching people blow themselves up on social media.
Hey, the reason I'm sitting here today is because I used to sit there and read the newspaper because everything else bored me. It was the only place I could get sports and like updated news on sports.
Next time you ask me to have one of these interviews on the show, I should stop by that guy's house, knock on his front door, and say, I'd like to interview you. Let's walk through your day. Because you're a freaking American.
You should. I'm into.
I like the cut. I like the cut of your jib. I like the cut of your jib. And then I'll walk back. I'll do a long walk. He'll be done with the paper, and he'll be reading a book. What a freaking awesome guy. Just living life.
In fairness, he only knows what happened yesterday. He doesn't know what's happening today. In fairness.
But you see, now you're disrespectful, and that's not fair. Let's say hi to John in Princeton here on VSiN Live. Hey, John.
Hey, how's it going? That was generous of you to let the previous John in New Jersey get all that off his chest.
The one part where it got weird was when he said he doesn't like the NBA, but he was mad at us for putting down the NBA. But other than that, he had some good points.
Yeah. Well, I was calling because earlier you were talking. It's probably gotten deeper since, but when I was in the car earlier, you were just talking about interest in the NBA, and then when I got home and on ESPN, I was watching, and it's just like, I don't need the Stephen A. like first take vibe in a pre-NBA. They weren't even talking about the game. They were just arguing with each other, and I think that's not going to help the ratings going forward, and I hope the TNT vibe gets absorbed.
The ESPN coverage, John, if we're being fair, of the NBA is not great. It's not great.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I think the TNT crew coming over will help because as much as I don't think they care about basketball, they're the best at covering basketball. That being Charles, Kenny, Shaq, and Ernie. They're great at it. It's an institution.
And the sad part is ESPN still in 2025 can make or break a sport. For example, I still believe hockey was way more popular when it was originally on ESPN. When it left the ESPN package and it wasn't there in the zeitgeist every night when you were watching SportsCenter, because they're not going to promote a sport that they don't air on their network, I think it fell down the ratings of where they were among national sports fans. And now that they're back, it feels like there's a little bit of a buzz about hockey again, but they have a long way to go to recapture everyone they lost, myself included. Baseball is about to find out the hard way that ESPN can make or break a sport because ESPN no longer going to be on Sunday Night Baseball, no longer going to be on the package. They're going to be somewhere else. It's going to be streaming. It's already fading. It could kill Major League Baseball at this point. And that goes back to the discussion that John didn't like about ESPN is if you don't like the coverage, you're going to tune away. ESPN can make or break how many people care about each game every single night.
Do you know what I'm going to tell you a little practice that I think is legit. And this is the problem with oversaturation. How many times have you been sitting there with your girl, you've been sitting there with your guy, whatever, no judgment, and you scroll and look for something to watch more than you actually watch the show?
Oh, that's a fact.
It happens all of the time where you endlessly look for a better option on top of the fine option, on top of the good option that you were thinking about watching, but because behind door number 2, there could be a better option, you find yourself going to bed without watching anything.
Yeah, is this definitely the best thing we should watch right now? And because of that, we can only watch 30 minutes of it because we went through 400 shows, putting them all to the list, saying, well, we'll get to this one. It's number 2, but it's not better than this one. This one's number 3, but if that one isn't all the episodes.
Your point was for brevity. Your point was well made. We have such a plethora of options at this point in 2025. You waste time searching for options instead of doing the option. And that's the answer. What are we doing? And you're on your phone anyway. You're looking at TikTok.
No, I just got an annoying text.
From me?
No, not from you. You don't text during the show. My dad's doing research on what we're talking about and sending me population of OKC.
See, this is the problem with the big guy. The people that love him annoy him.
Because I'm in the middle of a show, and he's been told not to text me.
But he's just trying to help.
I know, but I have computers too. I love him
listen
so
to
much.
listen
I
to what
love
you're
my
saying.
Dad. I love my dad.
You? Well, what?
But
Maybe he's got good information.
I told him I have severe ADHD. My watch and my phone will go off if I get a text message. Please don't text me in the middle of the show.
Brian just said it. Do you know I've been doing this for close to 25 years? My parents have never listened to 1 minute of my broadcast. You should be thankful your dad freaking cares at 7:47 in freaking Georgia.
Yeah, but I'd like to continue doing it, and distracting me takes me away from it.
Okay, if your girlfriend wrote you right now, would you be pissed?
No, but I wouldn't answer her.
I think we just caught you.
She knows better. She knows. She knows I'm not going to answer during the show unless we're in a break.
Okay. I hear you, brother. Mr. Swedelson, I appreciate your efforts with the fact checking.
After all that, I should.
When we come back, we're gonna read your dad's text. He deserves that, and your calls. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Pacers 1-1. Series shifts to Indianapolis. Game 3. Right now, a special edition of the starting lineup is live from Gamebridge Fieldhouse Arena, bringing you exclusive on-site interviews and coverage leading up to tip-off. Then 8:30 East, here Game 3's call on ESPN Extra Channel 81. The Pacers broadcast on NBA Radio Channel 86 or the national feed on ESPN Radio Channel 80, also streaming on the SiriusXM app. So Mr. Swedelson was simply trying to support his son and help out with some content. Dustin got bitter about it, and it does sound like we have a retort from your pops.
Yeah, and if he wants to keep texting me, I can just start taking the ADHD meds that are sitting on my counter that I've never tried. All right, first off, the Oklahoma City population is 1,025,000. Indy is 1.925 million in the metro areas. That's point one. Point two from my father, hockey might need a fight. Look how USA and Canada fought in the Four Nations series, got interest. Then he tells me he needs research money. And then one final point after, he guilts me. I'm listening while doing physical therapy exercise because he had knee replacement surgery 6 weeks ago. And he went back to work this week. And now he's guilting me that he's an injured man just trying to support me.
How do you live with yourself? Let's say I just want to say thank you to Mr. Swedelson and get better, brother. Grind through that PT, and you'll be back to 100% in no time. And I'm sure Dustin cares about you too, even if he's afraid to admit it. Jeff in Chicago here on VSiN Live. Hi, Jeff.
Gentlemen, great start to the show. I want to comment on so many things, but I have a short amount of time.
Please.
Dustin, you mentioned drinking coffee, and I'm just curious if you drink coffee, which it sounds like you do, what do you actually put in it?
Are you ready for this? It is a cold
just
brew,
answer the question.
a large cold brew, sugar-free vanilla syrup, oat milk. Boom.
Okay. May I say, as a man, I just drink it black, iced. What up?
That's what I do as well. So thank you very much.
Oat milk.
Oat milk and vanilla sugar.
Dude, you are so you don't even like your family. You drink oat milk. You get led around by your girlfriend. You need to pull yourself together. Jeff, go ahead.
No, and next, and I heard earlier on another show that we get more Dustin after this show.
Yes.
So that's a win. So
the big guy cashing out on VSiN an hour after this show concludes. He does a great job with it. You should check it out.
I have to wear pants for that one.
I hope he speaks as fast as the other guy. So let's pick it up, Dustin. And then, second, like you're talking about the ratings and people are calling off, like pissed off. I called when the Knicks were playing the Pacers. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but some guy from the Pacers called in, McLovin or whatever his name was. And he was saying how the entire state of Indiana is behind the Pacers. The ratings would say otherwise.
Our guy, Muffin? No, not Muffin. Biscuit. Yeah. Biscuit.
Well, no, he might be right. The entire state might be behind Indiana, but no one else is watching. It's just Indiana then.
I had no clue. Did you hear that they named a street after every person on the Indiana Pacer roster?
Yeah, the New York City did that with the Knicks, and then they lost the following series. It's a bad omen. Don't do that. Don't celebrate. Do not do anything celebratory until it's officially all over.
My man said he gets oat milk in his coffee.
Look, when me and my girlfriend first started dating, that's one of the first things you go over. I think she almost broke up with me on the spot when she heard my coffee order.
Yeah, I think she had a good reason.
I think we met on the wrong app.
That's not bad. Barry, Illinois joins us here, VSiN Live. Hi, Barry. Barry wanted to talk about Stanley Cup final, but listen, as the big guy would say, look. That's a hockey trick, too. When you say look, you're trying to figure out what to say, brother. I forget the United States for a second. This is on Canada. You got 40 million people. You created a sport, and only 3 million of you are watching. What the hell are you doing?
This is why you haven't won a cup since '93. You don't really care as much as you think. Florida cares more. That's why Florida keeps winning cups, and they can't even make ice. They couldn't create an outdoor rink if they tried for hours on the coldest day of the year. But they're winning cups, and you're up there not watching the other teams in Canada. Where is your national pride?
I will say this. Game 3 down in Sunrise, that barn was kind of rocking.
Oh, no. That crowd had Edmonton shook. They were not ready for that.
I see. That's the thing, though. It really is hockey. Hockey's just different. When people go, first off, hockey in person, you've been to a hockey game. It's awesome. It's so exciting. You can't believe how big the dudes are and how small the ice is, how frenetic it all is.
It's a lot smaller.
And one thing I will say, because it's crushed my viewing experience, NFL and NBA. Too many. I can't. It's too stop, start, and I start to lose. I lose it.
Yeah.
That's why I like soccer.
Too much of a whistle. Way too much of a whistle, and it slows it. Because the beauty of the game is that it's nonstop, that really the play could go on forever as long as no one ices the puck or there's a major penalty. I agree with you. There was way too many penalties in Game 3, and I think that hurt Edmonton. Also, I think Evander Kane came out and said we're getting a different whistle. I wonder if that manipulates the refs here for the next game.
We'll get our picks. We still have a half hour to go with this interminable wait for Game 3.
Doesn't help.
Coming back with Halterman, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Speaking of VSiN, you can get the newsletter. Very popular. You wake up with it every morning. There's no obligation. You just go to vsin.com/newsletter. All you have to do is enter your email address. Pops up before you wake up. You wake up, it's your betting menu, your sports menu with some free plays in there as well every single morning. vsin.com/newsletter. All right, we welcome you back. Now, again, we are going to start. What do you think, big guy? We're going to start at 5:30 on the dot?
No.
My guess is no.
I'm
Let's
seeing
see.
5:35 on DraftKings. They're usually within about 3 or 4 minutes.
All right. Now, our next guest is Aaron Halterman, part of the family. He is, of course, RacingDudes.com and a VSiN host, and also Ozarks. He is a Thunder fan. And unfortunately, we had to start with the low ratings for the Thunder Pacers series, which I don't think would surprise you. I don't think it makes you bitter, but not great. But tied up at ones. You didn't expect to be here. You were a 10-point favorite in game one, 11-point favorite in game two, and you're a 5.5-point favorite tonight. Do you feel comfortable as a Thunder fan headed to Indy?
No, yes and no, I guess is how I would describe it. I really thought like the worst thing that could have happened did happen in game one. Because not only you lose, but you lose in that style that the Pacers have been good at, with the Knicks. Dustin knows all about that, being a Knicks fan and having that first game won and not winning it. And it felt almost the exact same. It's just like, how did they lose? I never really thought they were in trouble. So I thought that was the worst thing that could have happened. Played good in game two, no doubt. Figured they would, though. I am a little nervous. I still think the Thunder are going to win this series, but I am a little nervous now going back to Indy. The Thunder, they haven't been just real great on the road in these playoffs, right? I mean, I know they've won the majority of the games, but they have not played all that well. You look at how they played it in Denver. They're really lucky to get one of those 3 games in Denver in that series. And so I'm a little worried tonight. I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I think it's going to be a very close game. I kind of like the Pacers and the points in this one a little bit. That's not to say I really think Oklahoma City has no chance or they're not going to win, but with 5.5 on the board there for the Pacers, boy, I don't know. I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. I said all along I thought it could be a 6 or 7 game series. It feels that way to me after 2 games.
You're right. Oklahoma City struggled on the road in the playoffs. They're 0-7 against the spread away from Oklahoma City in the postseason. And a lot of it comes down to what's the issue night in and night out is who other than SGA is going to step up. If Oklahoma City is going to win and let's say cover on the road, right? Let's start there. Covering the number on the road. Who do you think needs to be that number 2 that steps up for them tonight?
To me, it's Chet. When Chet plays well, they're really tough to beat. In some of the like the Minnesota series, it's like that's who we got to have, right? Like he was lights out and he's up and down, but to me that's it. That's the guy that if he's scoring, if he's active, whether it's scoring or setting up plays or whatever it be, but just an active guy, a guy when you're watching the offensive possessions, he's a big part of what they're doing. That's when I think they're at their absolute best. So I think he is the key to this thing. And then I think Dort is another guy. He's that role guy, that good defender, but when he's scoring, that is another dimension that kind of just puts him over the top. But I really think the series, win or lose, really, I think will come down to how well Chet plays. I think he's got to be that piece that's there to get them over the top. I think we saw it. SGA is an incredible player, but he's got to have a little bit of help. And I think game one was kind of proof of that. They just needed somebody to kind of push him over the top. SGA, of course, misses a big shot that everybody's kind of talking about. But it was a lot of, in the last 5 or 10 minutes, they just didn't get those other guys involved enough. So I think he's the key. I do have confidence that because we've seen it, like he can elevate his game, right? We just got to see him do it here on the road here. I have confidence, but again, I think he is the key.
I totally agree. Chet is the X factor because he is such a good defender. And if that bonus of offense is clicking for him, and also he's a good passer, he can do so much, Chet Holmgren. You kind of expect, although Williams has been last year he was a disaster in the postseason. He's been really good in the postseason, but he's been up and down as of late. And I see you shaking your head, big guy.
He's a frustrating player who's 3rd-team All NBA, Jalen Williams. And when he plays like a number 2, I think this team can't be. I think he does so many little things. He stands on the perimeter. He helps facilitate. He's gone over his assist prop a bunch this postseason. When he plays like a 2, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's him and Chet just kind of look at each other and go, well, whose night is it going to be? And sometimes because of that, no one takes thing falls apart. But I agree. Jalen Williams is an up and down player that needs to figure out how to be consistent.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We've got the hockey to get to. We'll give our official plays on the NBA before the game tips here at the bottom of the hour. But there is so much to unpack when it comes to horse racing. So let's do this. RacingDudes.com had tremendous coverage from the Belmont at Saratoga. Of course, Aaron Halterman, Jared Welch were there. They've been part of this program for many, many years. And you were there to watch Sovereignty. So there's a lot to discuss. One, you texted immediately, we were robbed of a Triple Crown. Sir Barton won the first, quote-unquote Triple Crown in 1919. That's well over 100 years ago, and since then, there's only been 13 winners. Sovereignty certainly could have been that horse, and Bill Mott has put the sport in a tough spot because he literally came out and said, no, he that's the perfect horse to run in the Preakness. We just never thought about it. Not a great look.
Yeah, pretty bad, right? And then he wins the way he does on Saturday, and you do look up and go, boy, I don't think there's any doubt. And think of it like this, think of what happened in the Preakness with journalism and him getting stopped and everything like that in an amazing performance. But if he had to catch Sovereignty that day, I am pretty confident he would not have done it because he couldn't beat him when things were fair and square in the Derby in the Belmont. So, yeah, look, I really felt a little bit robbed. I'm not going to lie to you. We talked about it, like I said, right after we were talking about amongst ourselves as well. And you're right. The biggest kind of issue, and it's weird because I love Bill Mott. I know you guys do too.
Of course.
It's weird that I think he's just an honest guy, and he just came out and said, "Nah, we just didn't feel like going. We didn't really want to." It's like, boy, that's a bad thing to say, right? If you say, "Hey, our horse was a little tired," or this or that, there's going to be people arguing, but you kind of understand it. But to just say we didn't have an interest in it is a kind of a punch in the face for sure. But it's hard to dislike this horse. I think what we saw in the Belmont on Saturday was true greatness at a very, very high level. Dare I say a Triple Crown type of horse level, guys. Journalism ran a huge race. And Sovereignty passed him like he's standing still, guys. That is an elite type of horse because journalism ran fantastic and Sovereignty just smoked him on Saturday.
Yeah, I still believe the Bill Mott thing. I know Patrick's on this where he's doing it to protect the ownership. He's taking the hit. But my piece that I keep coming back to at 71, 72 years old, as long as he stays good with this ownership group and makes them look good and protects what they're doing and does what they want, he's going to keep getting horses similar to Sovereignty that they're willing to pay for. When it comes to the legacy, though, I know we were robbed of a Triple Crown potentially, but let's live in a world where Sovereignty does run the Belmont and loses. What does that do here? If he does, the horse ends up winning 2 of the 3 legs, but we did see a loss in there. Would that hurt the legacy, or does Aaron now the mystique of what if he ran, what if he won? Does that add to it some?
That's a great point. It probably would take away just because you see the horse lose, right? So that is a really good point you're trying to make there, or you made actually. I think at the end of the day, I don't know that really played into it much, but when you look at it like that, I mean, yes, it would kind of tarnish it a bit. But at the same time, I think what happened Saturday, probably even Bill Mott, if you truth serum, right, he probably was a little bothered by it, sitting down thinking about it after it was all over, going, you know what? He didn't just win this Belmont by a half length and just kind of look like a good horse, but maybe not a great horse. He looked like a superstar, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, we could have done it. And also, he looked absolutely full of energy. Now that could have been obviously because he didn't race that middle leg there. But you do also look at journalism, who did and was coming off the 3rd race in 5 weeks. I thought that was his best performance of the Triple Crown. So it shows you that horses can do it. Like in the weirdest way, you had Bill Mott and let's just say Godolphin ownership group kind of say, yeah, the Triple Crown, it is what it is. But then you, in the same year, you had a horse that showed you can show up and you can run really well in all 3 races. And the 3rd race can actually be your best, because I believe that's what happened with Journalism. So it was kind of cool to kind of see both ends of the spectrum. And think about this: if Sovereignty, was born in a different year, we would have saw a Triple Crown with Journalism, because he ran 3 winning races, but he lost 2 of them to a horse that's just superior to him.
Okay, and that's where we come to breaking news. Sovereignty would have won the Triple Crown. This is not a good This is not a good horse, and I think Journalism kind of overshadowed Sovereignty on the lead up to the Triple Crown. Sovereignty has squarely cemented himself as better than Journalism and maybe very special. You texted me the Bayer speed figure of 109. That's epic. His speed figures were crazy. And then you just go optically. Sometimes it's not about winning a race, it's who you beat in the race. And you said it, Journalism ran a monster race. The jockey on board Sovereignty shook the reins, didn't even go to the whip. And he passed, as you said, he passed Journalism, a great horse, like he was standing still. And oh, by the way, Aaron Halterman, that 1.5 miles wasn't going to be an issue, because Sovereignty was just getting started when he crossed the finish line.
Yeah, he could have ran 3 miles. I mean, it wasn't going to be. If he ran 1.5 miles, he may have won, and I'm not exaggerating, by like 8 or 9 lengths, because he was absolutely full of energy. And you kind of laid it out. I'll describe it like this. I picked Journalism to win the race. I'd bet Journalism, right? And so I'm watching him. Naturally, you watch the horse that you bet, right? And he turned for home, and he was passing horses so easily, and he looked full of run. And I turned to Jared, my business partner, and I said, we're about to see something special, because Journalism is running a much better race than what we've even seen him run. I watched him the entire race. He was smooth. He looked great. And so what do? He's ahead by a couple lengths. So I scale back. Okay, who's coming? Spot Sovereignty. And within like a second, I'm like, oh, this race is over. This race is over. This horse is just gobbling him up. And guys, it's not like he caught him at the wire. He caught him like what, at the mid stretch. And it was like, oh, well, this isn't even a race, and you said it best. He just kind of was galloping around there. Like, he just kind of shook the reins on him a little bit, talking about Junior Alvarado. And that was it. The race was over. And Umberto Rispoli, the jockey on Journalism, who gave a great ride, by the way, we've been very critical of him in the previous. Yes. He did fine in the Belmont. He's trying everything he can, but it's a lost cause at that point, because literally the stride is like 2-1 Sovereignty to Journalism. He's just gobbling him up. So I didn't think, I knew Sovereignty was a good horse for sure, but I didn't view him as like this elite type of horse. And I was dead wrong, because that you can't beat a horse that's separating themselves from the field like Journalism was. He was putting that field away, and then Sovereignty just passes you like you're standing still. It's like, you can't do that unless you are like elite. And that's what Sovereignty was able to do.
The move Journalism made on the turn,
huge,
was like breathtaking. You're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be an epic performance. And it was an epic performance by him, but even more epic by Sovereignty. That's the point. He was shot out of a cannon when they pushed the button, Journalism.
Yeah, and like, I was getting the feels, like you're just saying. I was getting chills, because I'm like, okay, this horse, he's kind of the star of the Triple Crown. He ran in all 3 races. He's like, he's going to shove it in everybody's faces. He's going to show everybody we can run 3 races in 5 weeks, and we're going to win 2 out of 3. And we're going to say, boy, I wish he would have won the Derby. And all these thoughts just get crushed in a second when you pick up the way Sovereignty's moving. Yeah, you're right. Journalism did run a great race, a race that wins many Belmont Stakes, just not that one, because he was in there with the monster that was Sovereignty.
All right, but big picture now. This worked out for them. This worked out for the ownership group. It worked out for Bill Mott. They won 2 of 3 legs. They don't have a blemish on the record of the horse now in the Triple Crown. What is your level of fear that this is going to be the status quo going forward, where people are going to win the Kentucky Derby, then they're going to say, we don't want to deal with the schedule. We're going to sit out the middle in the Belmont, or for the Preakness, and we'll come out for the Belmont and get a win and win 2 of 3?
I'm very fearful would be my answer to that question, and I think the key is going to be, what does Sovereignty do in the second, summer season, the second half of the season, going into, races, bigger races up at Saratoga, and then the Breeders' Cup. Does he kind of go on, win a couple of those races, be the horse of the year, which he will be if he wins a couple more? And then, yeah, is that the blueprint where they're going to go, you know what? I'm not sure that we shouldn't just do that and try to prolong careers and win these races and keep the horse, kind of like you mentioned earlier, kind of keep the horse from losing and keep him, spaced out and in good spots. And then what does journalism look like, who actually did the 3 races in 5 weeks? What does he look like when he goes on to the summer races and into the fall to the Breeders' Cup? So I think, I think this could be a blueprint for a lot of guys. I know a lot of your more conservative thinking trainers, Bill Mott, is one of them, but there's a lot of others as well. They're probably thinking, boy, he really kind of laid out what we can do, and we're not going to get as much heat because we won't be the first ones to do it, So I would say that's good. You do have guys like Michael McCarthy, who owns journalism, who they went for it, and they didn't really get rewarded. And what does that do, as well? Like, he ran great, but still he didn't win. I don't know. I would say the future of that Triple Crown situation is tedious at best. Like, it's going to be very interesting how they navigate it after this.
What we do know is we're setting up for an awesome summer of horse racing. Mm-hmm. So because there's so many storylines, where they point the horses. Go ahead, Dustin.
Look, I care. I'm going to watch Travers. I've never watched Travers in my life. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know until Patrick and Somich were talking about on VSiN at the track after the race about how the Travers is a horseman's race, that after the Kentucky Derby, it's the number one race. Yeah, that they all want to win. I had heard of the Travers. I knew it was in Saratoga. That's all I knew. I want to see what Sovereignty can do, and I want to see if journalism can finally get its best shot. And it feels like some of the old school rivalries we used to have in sports.
It definitely feels like a better rivalry than what we've had. And yeah, I mean, I think if you get right down to it, one of the main reasons, and Bill Mott said this, why they kind of skipped the Preakness is because the Travers means more to them than the Preakness. Like, that is such a huge race. And Bill Mott even said in the article, the very first article came out, said, hey, we're skipping. Hey, I've got my eye on the Travers. I've never won the Travers. I really want to win it. I think I have a horse that can do it. So, yeah, it does definitely add that intrigue of, okay, you have this horse. He is elite. Can anybody take him down? And a lot of people are calling now, and I don't really agree with this, but I will say it. A lot of people are saying the Travers, the Belmont, and the Derby, that's the modern day Triple Crown now, right? Like, that's the thing. If you could win all 3 of those, that's your modern day Triple Crown. Again, I don't agree with it, but you can kind of see the point, right?
Leave it to our generation to take 120 years of history and just say, let's go. But the irony is Bill Mott is that generation. He's 72 years old. He's been around the sport for 60 freaking years. Something doesn't add up. And by the way, to put a bow on the horse racing, why I love Arrowgate so much. It's not about the races you win. It's who you beat. And he fell out of the gate in Dubai and beat Gunrunner. Gunrunners are great. We were at the Dustin, Aaron, Jared. We were at the Santa Anita for the biggest race Arrowgate had ran against California Chrome. He beat California Chrome in the Breeders' Cup. So that's why I think Sovereignty, I think journalism's going to continue to run, and I think he's going to continue to beat great horses. And by the way, Baeza could be on the trail as well, and they all finished 1, 2, 3, Kentucky Derby, Belmont. Okay, I'll put a bow there. Had to get Arrowgate RIP to the big gray in the sky. The hockey, Aaron Halterman, RacingDudes.com, joining us, a big hockey, big puckhead. Game 3 wasn't great, but I think Somich said it well yesterday. It's like the Oilers played right into the Panthers' hands and game plan. I hated, Dustin and I were debating this, I hated pulling Skinner. It shows weakness. Don't start him in game 4. Just leave him in the net. I don't care. That late in the game, you just let it be. What do you think happens in goal in game 4?
Oh, boy. Loaded question right off the bat, but I think the most important question, right? Because it did not look good and unraveled quite a bit. I will say, though, when you give a team that many power plays, that's going to happen. I don't care who the goalie is, but he did look weak, and they made him look silly a couple times. If you believe Knobloch, they're going to stick with him. They're going to stick with Skinner. They're going to see what happens here at game 4. I don't know if that's the right move. I think when you got a guy like Pickard who came into the playoffs earlier when Skinner had to be pulled and played well and got him on a win streak, I would go back to him. I would be a little afraid, if you wait too long, it's going to be too long and there's nothing you can do about it. I would put Pickard back in game 4, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to stick with Skinner. To me, another reason I would put Pickard back in, they just kind of need a momentum shift at this point, right? And sometimes you pull a goalie, you do kind of get that momentum shift and you kind of get that burst of energy, because I agree with Samich. They went out there and they were stooges in game 3. They played right into what Florida wanted to do. They just did. And they hadn't done that the first 2 games. And I don't know why they felt like they needed to, but you saw Brad Marchand. He was like pointing at his head, skating to the bench one time going, "Hey, we're in your heads. Like you guys don't, we've got this thing figured out. You're done," type of stuff. So that's another reason I would put Pickard back in and just kind of change the mojo a little bit. But look, whoever's in goal, guys, they have got to be disciplined and they've got to go out and play their style, up and down hockey, making the spectacular plays like they've been making, like they did in the first 2 games. I mean, I wasn't overly concerned about Edmonton after the first 2 games. Yeah, they'd like to win them both. They didn't. But I did not expect a 6-1 game where they were just idiots in game 3 at all. I thought it'd be another tight game, so they've got to get back to that.
Aaron, we were this close to Florida being down 0-2. Now they're in the driver's seat. They're up 2-1. I've been hard on Skinner. I thought it looked like the confidence was completely gone in the net. And I'm going to go cross sport here. I was also hard on Anthony Edwards facing the Oklahoma City perimeter defense. And people have been hard on Halliburton facing the Thunder defense. The same thing that Ant Edwards struggles with. Is there any chance we're just not giving Florida enough credit? Because from what I can tell, this is one of the deepest teams we've seen in any sport in a long time. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh, 1,000%. I've been telling people, look, Florida's a lot better team this year than last year, and they won the cup last year. But this is one of the deeper teams I've seen in the last few years. And look, I think it's twofold. Yeah, I mean, you have to give them credit. They're going to be very difficult to beat. I don't care who you have. McDavid, Draisaitl, who you've got in net. This Florida team's going to be tough because they're also I don't know how to describe it, but they're just kind of hard asses. They're just tough. You know what I mean? Like
they're assholes
annoying.
Too.
Yeah, they're just they're just tough. They're tough to beat, and they've got the mojo going. So, but yeah, I mean, but the flip side of it is, if you are weak at goalie at all or unsure of yourself at goalie at all, they're going to do what they did, right? They're going to expose you. If you lose that game 4-1 and he makes a bunch of saves, you go, well, it's not his fault. But 6 goals and the breakaway to make it 4-1, he flopped on that. Like he didn't give any kind of effort on it whatsoever. And that's like, I think you text me, Patrick. He's like, "Oh, this is bad right now." Like
Savage called it an empty net breakaway. Skinner was so lost.
Yeah,
seriously. But here's the deal: you can't lay $150 on floor. I think all 3 of us agree that's too much of a price to lay.
Oh, I'm not taking Edmonton. I can promise you that. I just can't. I can't do it because look, I think Florida's a better team. Okay. And I've said, I've been, just slightly better. Right. I'm not going to sit here in game 4 and think Edmonton's going to turn this around. These guys for Florida are just, they're on another level right now. And Dustin, you're right. They could have been down 0-2. They also could have been up 2-0 as well. Those games were close. And if they don't take that penalty, which was really just unlucky, they may have won game 1. They were up 3-1 in that game and blew it. So I think they're just better. I'm taking Florida.
I'm scared that we just lost the series. We had 2 epic games and we had 1 blowout. And let's be fair, Connor McDavid wasn't making anything happen in game 3. That concerns me a lot. Aaron, what about the total? What would you do with the total in this one?
I think at this point you have to go over until it goes under.
You can find a 6. You can go over 6. So yeah, I bet
you
it
just
too.
Do, right? You have to, because I mean, what are we looking at here? Like, what are we looking at in goal? Number 1 for Edmonton, and number 2, even if they play well, the scoring has been up in all these games. And I'll say one last thing. What's interesting, my dad said the same thing that you just said, Dustin. He's like, I'm afraid it's going 5 games now. He said, I just don't know how they're going to come back from this. Yeah. So
spirit broken. I think you guys make a good point.
Yep.
We'll break early because we got to get Noops on for the actual picks for Game 3 in Indy. Aaron Halchman, just fresh as a daisy after a couple long days in Saratoga. You got to give him credit. My man is battling like sovereignty down the stretch. RacingDudes.com, VSiN as well. Halty, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Game 3's coming up. Noops has got your picks next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
All right, you can get your bets on Game 3 over at VSiN.com/picks. Remember, $1.58 using the promo code SIRIUS. You become a VSiN Pro. We'll start there, and we'll welcome in our good buddy Alex Noops Christensen, FTN NBA handicapper at _Noops. Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Maher. We say hi to Noops. Noops, we still got a few minutes till tip. Hi. The game itself, let's start there, then we'll get to the props. It's 5.5 Oklahoma City, 226 total. What are we doing, Noops?
It's Oklahoma City on the spread or the Pacers money line. I know that's kind of a wishy-washy answer, but I went back and rewatched game one, and I know the Pacers turned the ball over 20 plus times in the first half, but the Thunder had less than 10 points on those turnovers. The more I watch game one, the more I just see kind of everything went Indiana's way. I mean, you got Miles Turner banking in threes. You've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander missing a shot that, I don't know, he's made 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4 times all season, and they still just win that game by 1. I think game 2 is what a lot of us expected things to look like through this series. The Thunder were able to really stretch that out. Now, this will be a little bit different. We're back in Indiana. That home court advantage matters a lot. And at the same time, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the home court matters a lot. So that's a big shift. I still think the Thunder should be closer to 6.5, maybe point favorite. So I would lay the points with them if I have to pick one of them. But if you like the Pacers, just take the money line. If they're playing well, they're going to win this game outright.
Noobs, how do we make sense of the Thunder struggles on the road? They've also had issues in game threes in the last couple series, but they're 0-7 against the spread on the road. How do they get right in this situation where they're going to go to Indiana and that crowd's going to be crazy because there's some belief with the Pacers fan base right now?
Yeah, I think with the game threes, especially when you look at Minnesota and the Memphis series, they were coming off 2 huge wins. I kind of write those off. Those are down games for them specifically. Denver, that's a tough place to go and play. 0-7 obviously is bad, but they have won some games on the road. I think again, it's about getting that victory there. And as much as 0-7 sounds nice, it's kind of a small sample size. So they've just been in tougher spots, obviously, on the road, and I think they have a chance to cover tonight. They're just the better team.
We do have opportunities here, Noobs, to squeeze in a couple of props on game 3. What are you looking at player-wise?
Yeah, went in with this strategy game 1 and game 2 and had some success, and I'm going to continue to do it as long as we continue to see some of the numbers that are out there. The Thunder allow players to shoot threes. The Pacers love to shoot threes. To no surprise, some of their guys, specifically Aaron Naismith, who leads the series in threes, Andrew Nembhard, who has had 2 in one game, 1 in the second game, but is averaging over 4.5 attempts per game in this series, as well as a guy, Ben Shepherd, a role player who, if you surprised if you haven't been watching the Pacers, plays quite a bit, and in this series I think is going to be important for them and has been. All 3 of those guys continue to have their 3-point totals set a little bit too low. Naismith is over 2.5. Nembhard's over 1.5. Shepard's just a half. So Shepard's got to make 1+, Nembhard's got to make 2+, and Naismith's got to make 3+. Naismith is like +120. Nembhard's, we're looking at +130 even. Shepard, I'm seeing +100, maybe +110, depending on where you look. All of those are really great bets, and I'm just going to continue to play them. It's something the books have been a little slow to adjust and has had some success. Being in Indiana makes it only a little bit sweeter. Pick some Pacers players to make threes, but I think Naismith, Nembhard, and Shepard are the way to go.
Noobs, this total got bet down a lot in the last couple hours. We were 228, I believe, yesterday. I want to say it opened 227.5, went up to 228. We're now at 226, I'm seeing. What would you do with the total here? Would you think about going over? Has it gotten too low, or do you think that's about right with that move?
What's interesting to me, Dustin, about it is we're basically right back at open. It opened at 226.5. We're seeing about 226.5 most places. I know that there was some talk about Halliburton and maybe his ankle not being 100%, but I didn't see anything official about that. That was mostly kind of whispers. At the end of the day, if the Thunder are going to win and be in control of this game, it goes under. If the Pacers are going to be in control and win this game, it probably goes over. So I think there's a little bit of correlation here. As someone that likes the Thunder, I like the under. But if you like the Pacers, don't be afraid to put the over with that.
By the way, you can, if you didn't want to lay the number, which I agree with Noops. If you like the Thunder, 5.5. If you like the Indiana Pacers, take the +180. I like that. Double result. I'll just throw it out there because I don't know if people bet it often, but you can take the Thunder to win the first half and win full game at even money. So that 220, if you do believe, but again, they are on Pacers home wood. going back there. But if you're just looking, mitigate some of that price, Noops, even money, Thunder win the first, Thunder win full game.
I don't mind that because you're not looking at the first quarter. I think if the Thunder are going to be a little nervous here and struggle, it's going to be early when the crowd is against them. It's going to be a raucous environment. If the Pacers can come out, grab a lead here quickly, make some threes, it's just going to be a tough spot. But for first half, now you've got a break between quarters. You've got a full 24 minutes. There's a little more time for the Thunder to sort of get it together. And I do tend to agree. If the Pacers have the lead going into half, not that Dagnall can't make some sort of corrections or adjustments, it's probably good for the Pacers. So I like where your head's at. I think that's a pretty good look.
If Indiana's going to win, a lot of it hinges on what Tyrese Halliburton does. Oklahoma City's bottled him up. 17 points with 5 turnovers in the last one. Game 1, just 14 points. What did you see when you went back and watched the game that the Thunder were doing to kind of slow down Halliburton, who, look, he's had some up and down moments, but they've been mostly up in the playoffs. What's Oklahoma City doing to contain him?
They're doing a really good job of kind of letting people spy on him a little bit. They're not doubling him, but I think a lot of the success comes on the back end where the Thunder are really prepared for a lot of looks the Pacers have used all year. For example, there's a pick and roll play, and I'm not going to do the best job of describing this, but if you try to watch sometimes what looks like it's supposed to be a pick and roll actually ends up being kind of a fake quick pass to the corner for threes. The Thunder are doing a good job of kind of keeping that up. They're doing a good job of forcing Halliburton. I mean, even on that game-winning shot, it's a long two. He's a step inside the three. If he's going to make it, so be it, and he did. They're just doing a really good job here. I think Halliburton tonight at home needs to focus, I think, on attacking the basket and kicking the ball out, getting some of these guys going, because I think he's better when he gets to sort of take advantage after everyone else has sort of had theirs. But I think Oklahoma City, again, it's just a nightmare matchup. They've got 5 guys on the floor at certain times, at least 4 that can stay with him, that are longer than him, more physical. It's just tough.
We are just about to get underway here at the Field House. They call it Game Bridge. What they used to call it?
Conseco?
Conseco Field House.
Like that. That's right. Nice little barn.
Okay.
It's kind of a cozy arena for modern day. So you like to see it. And we are underway in Game 3 of the finals. Again, it went off with Oklahoma City laying 5.5. Noops, I don't know if a casual basketball fan recognizes quite yet the brilliance because nobody's watching the series. I thought SGA was a maestro. I mean, he's been great the whole entire postseason and obviously just won the MVP. But on Sunday, just special performance by SGA.
I think he is having arguably one of the best seasons we've seen of any guard ever, period. What he's been able to do in terms of consistency, the fact that he had 30 plus points, I think it's something like 70% of his games, maybe even more than that. The way he is able to create his own shot, but without taking the air out of everybody else. It doesn't feel like he's a high usage player that is stifling his teammates, but gets to his spots, knows what he wants to do, can score from anywhere on the floor, has great footwork. And I wonder if it's almost too easy. I've been kind of talking about the idea that maybe he's kind of the next Tim Duncan, if you will, obviously in a different position, but it's just so easy and so simple. And it's not a greatness where we see a lot of highlight plays, just an overwhelming level of efficiency that seems quiet and functional. I've been blown away by SGA.
Yeah, I think we love it. Like watching him like night in and night out, you can see the brilliance. The moves are incredible. The fundamentals are all there. He makes wild plays, and the mid-range is not defendable. But Patrick mentioned in the question, nobody's watching Noobs. And SGA, it's kind of boring. You compared him to Tim Duncan, a guy who's kind of boring. We were talking about early in the show about TV ratings being down. Outside of the two cities, as someone who's a purist who watches this game as much as you do, what issues do you see in the sport right now that's maybe turning people off?
Well, I think it's kind of what you said. He's a boring person. Tim Duncan's a boring person. I don't know what it is about the NBA where a lot of the interest seems to be more based around what's happening off the court. But the most simple problem to me is no one's watching because they've been told not to watch. If you've watched any content basically for the week before the finals, it's a bunch of dudes in suits sitting behind a desk going, it's Oklahoma City and Indiana. Nobody cares. It's not LA. It's not the Knicks. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Whatever. Like, if I'm the NBA, if I'm David Stern, if I'm Adam Silver, I am having every single media person over in some sort of room in a tight meeting and basically making sure that they understand that they this is great basketball. It's not like I'm saying that we have to force people to
Yeah.
say this is going to be great. This is objectively amazing basketball. It's two deep teams full of athletic players that play multiple positions who can handle the ball. They can all shoot. This is fantastic. But the lead up was like, oh, it's going to be boring. It's Oklahoma City and Indiana. So, people did what they were told to do. I don't know how we change this narrative. I don't know why every conversation I seem to have about the NBA is a negative one. I don't know how we get back to having positive ones, but this is incredible basketball, and everyone should be watching it.
Noops for commissioner? It's got a ring. It's got a ring to it. Dustin's Knicks are in the market for a new head coach. And not necessarily sure they got quite a plan together, but Thibs is out. And do you have an idea who you'd like to see there coaching the Knicks?
I really don't, and I wish I had a better answer to this question, but I've been thinking about it, and it's not Mike Malone. Mike Malone is going to basically be Tibbs. There's been really very little talk here. I think they'll probably wait a little bit, see maybe who else gets sort of moved out here, but I think it's hard to thread this needle, but I think they maybe want to look for an ex-player who's been a solid assistant coach. What's Sam Cassell doing? Does he really want to be an NBA head coach? Because it seems like Thibodeau, when you move on from Thibodeau, and I love him, he's a brilliant, brilliant head coach, but it's tough to play for him, and the message is tough. It's just there is a time limit to it. It's not a coincidence that he gets fired every 4 to 5 seasons. There's only so many years people can listen to it. So I think they need a calmer voice, someone who maybe was a player and just a little more thoughtful about it, because the talent's there. You just have to find somebody to organize it and draw confidence in that locker room.
How about your surprise when you found out the Knicks requested interviews with Jason Kidd, Ime Udoka, and Chris Finch would not normally be news, but those guys do actually have jobs they're currently doing, Noobs. Were you surprised that the Knicks thought that they could lure any of those guys from playoff teams to come to New York?
I imagine that those reports were moves by the Knicks just to get it into the coaches' heads that if they want to quit their job and work for the Knicks, sure, they can do it. But the Houston Rockets are not trading Ime Udoka. It's not going to happen. The Minnesota Timberwolves are not getting rid of Chris Finch. I've heard on the Zach Lowe show and a couple other places that maybe the Mavericks would be okay moving on from Jason Kidd. I mean, if you could trade Doncic, you could do anything. But I just thought it was, more cute New York Knicks nonsense.
Dort just hit a corner three. Oklahoma City up 13-6 early in this one. 8:40 to go in the first as we continue to monitor Game 3. Everybody clad in yellow at the field house in Indianapolis. Alex Snoops Christensen. Oh, by the way, we've got odds on Durant's next team. Let's just say you're a general manager. Do you want Durant at this point, and where do you think he fits?
I think I do in certain situations. I don't know if I'm San Antonio if I want him. If I'm a young team like that. If you're Houston, that's really kind of an interesting conversation because I just don't know if they're close enough. But what about the Knicks? Why wouldn't you want to trade Karl Anthony Towns for Kevin Durant? The Phoenix Suns have needed a center for quite some time. It works straight up as second apron teams because that's the other thing with the Phoenix Suns where they are. There's a very limited amount of places he could actually go. But the most interesting team I continue to hear, and some people say it's going to happen. Some people that say it's don't. And it's fun watching Dustin listen to this. But I think the Knicks actually would be a great spot for Kevin Durant. You move on from Karl Anthony Towns. You start Mitchell Robinson. Precious Achiuwa basically become defensively better at the big spot. You can move Josh Hart to the bench. You suddenly just create, I think, a more stable dynamic and a team that in the playoffs could be a little bit better.
Am I on an island and being a Cat fan that Karl Anthony Towns, there was enough ups in the playoffs, right? I want Karl Anthony Towns on the Knicks. I feel like I'm the only person out there who still likes Cat. That's wild. We did have a major odds move, though, Noops. You mentioned you don't like San Antonio. They're now the favorite to get KD at -160. The other teams, the Rockets 6-1, the Knicks 8-1, and the team that jumped out to me, the Timberwolves +850. So if it's not the Knicks, do you believe San Antonio would make that deal with Phoenix? Or do you think Minnesota, who's got Anthony Edwards, who admired, right, Kevin Durant his whole career, is his favorite player, do you think that could be a potential fit?
Well, so this is a market generally where someone finds something out a little bit beforehand. So that big move, and again, I'm not saying that the Spurs are going to get him, but that obviously scares me a little bit. Maybe makes me rethink my Spurs comment. If I'm running the Spurs, I don't know if I want Kevin Durant in there. I don't know if I want to be pushing that timeline as fast. The problem for Minnesota, again, is because of the second apron stuff, it basically has to be Durant for Gobert in some way, shape, or form. And now you're a team in Minnesota where you're going to start now as Reed at center. It just starts to get to be really weird. Durant would be great on that team, but with Randall, with Anthony Edwards, I just don't know how it all fits together.
All right, Noops. Alex Noops Christensen, go ahead and watch the game. We do have a timeout and a fast start from the Thunder. 15-6 over the Pacers, 7:35 to play in the first. FTN and feel better. I know you're under the weather. Thanks, Noops. Appreciate you.
Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Best of luck until we talk again.
All right, you too, buddy. Thank you. My Tigers are getting beat by the ball. I don't know why. 20 games above 500. You got Mize on the bump versus Eflin, and it's 5-1, bottom 8. I'm not bitter. Anyway, great start.
Orioles been better too.
Yeah, they've been better. Great start by the Thunder. They did start Kason Wallace in the starting lineup, so Hartenstein's going to come off the bench. But it's really just been jittery. I'll put it this way: jittery ball from the Pacers. Couple air balls.
Yeah, I noticed they're 0 for 2 from 3. One was Ben Shepherd, where I don't know if he was aimed at the right basket based on where the shot landed.
I think it went behind the basket.
And Miles Turner's shot was about 6 inches short of the rim. So yeah, things are not going well. That's where I thought they could even things out in this series, because Miles Turner's a guy who shoots about 10-12% better at home from 3 in the postseason right now. So I thought his shot would be falling. I mean, it's obviously early, but it's not good. You take the juice of the crowd away early by falling into a deficit.
Nope, it's not, but it's a Pacers show, so we're not giving up.
No, the Pacers have them right where they want them. This is what they do. They're down 15-6. They actually want to be down more. Then they start playing their game.
We do have that Kevin Durant betting market for where he ends up. He's going to be 37. We'll give you the odds. I think the teams, Dustin mentioned San Antonio being at the top, but I think these odds will surprise you. We'll come back with those next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Now back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson.
All right, we said we needed a good game from Chet Holmgren if you're a Thunder fan, and he's got 12 with 5 minutes to go in the first. I'll tell you one thing right now is we do welcome you back, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. The Pacers are choppy, to say. They're like your internet connection. They are choppy, and they're playing poorly, though they did just pull within 5 here, 19-14. So we'll see if they can get it together. A nice little steal there from Halliburton the other way with the dish to Toppin. But they have started choppy on offense. Lack of fluidity has shown its head.
But with that, they're only down 5, 19-14. Looking at the market, it's now Oklahoma City laying 7.5. That total at one point, we were pacing upward. It closed 226 in game for a moment, 229.5. It's now back down to 225.5, looking like more of an under game at this point. But 5-point game, they're still in this. For as bad as they've looked, that is a positive sign for Indiana.
I would agree with that. But Chet Holmgren, who we said could be the X factor, Aaron Halterman pointed it out. A Holmgren with 12 already, just a little over 4.5 to go here in the first. He's played great to start. Very aggressive.
VSiN.com/picks. I've had that up there on the website for a couple days now. I went Holmgren over 14.5 points, and we're 3 away from cashing in the first.
You're going to get it in the first. That's what you like to hear from Cashing Out's host, Dustin Swedelson. That's a good job. Hey, one thing you do know is if he hit his bets, you'll hear about it on Cashing Out.
I mean, and if you don't, you'll know why I hate certain people that I'm talking about. Why I'm hammering certain players is because I bet on them and they don't come through for me. That's why I can't stand Kirk Ferentz at Iowa. I'm never on the right side of him. If I bet on Iowa football, they will lose. If I bet against them, they will win.
It's a little trick in broadcast. If you hit your bets, you'll hear about it. If you miss your bets, you stick to the topics.
Yeah, we focus on the next set of bets. We're about previewing here. We're not about living in the past. We're moving on.
You got a great one on the board tomorrow. Day
Tomorrow,
baseball.
Look, and then this is also the move. It's I didn't really like today's card anyway, but tomorrow I love.
Yeah. Just say you didn't like the bets. Okay. Let's get to the calls. I feel horrible. Has Sean been holding for all this time? We had a bunch of guests, so I just want to apologize in advance as we say hi to our buddy Sean in Texas. Hey, Sean.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. And first of all, Mr. Swedelson, keep texting the big guy. There's a lot of us out there that would give anything for that text. So
Sean, thank you.
All that information.
Thank you, Sean. Yes, Dustin's dad texting earlier. He wasn't overly respectful. Sean just put a perfect bow on it. That's a good job, Sean.
No, so I've always wondered something about these ratings. Do these ratings numbers that are given out, does that include streaming?
Ooh, I don't think so.
They have been wrapping streaming numbers into the ratings, yes.
They have?
Yeah.
Okay. I just, because, I always, I'm a truck driver, so I watch everything through streaming, and I didn't know if that was included or not.
Yeah, but then again, honestly, I don't know if the measurement of streaming is accurate, is what I would say. But they do include the streaming platforms. That's all I can tell you.
Okay, look, as far as basketball is concerned, I'm loving these playoffs. The regular season has gotten to almost unwatchable for me because I've always been in the mindset, if you don't care, then why should I? That's why I've gravitated a lot more to hockey recently. But, look, these playoffs have been amazing. If you're not watching them or then you just don't want to watch basketball, and you just would rather find out on TikTok or whatever and figure out who won and move on with your life. I don't know how else to put it. Hockey, too. I would say arguably this is probably the best collective playoffs between hockey and basketball that we've ever had. So, I don't know why the numbers are so down other than maybe people are just consuming stuff in different ways now.
That's a good way of putting it. I hadn't heard anybody say if they're not going to care about the regular season, why should I? That's framed well, and he's talking about the players taking games off, of course.
Yeah, totally fair. I'd also add, I still don't believe in the TV ratings. I know they've been around forever. I know it's a company that puts these little like chips or monitors in people's TVs, and they use a small portion of each market and they extrapolate that number based on how many people live there and how many people they were monitoring. And it's really an estimate. The TV ratings are not exact. They are an estimate. The streaming numbers are supposed to be more exact here, but even that, I think they don't totally give you all the information.
There's a quarterback in Pittsburgh that would love to have the conversation with you about the ratings. Conspiracy?
Well, we could get into the moon landing. We can get into the pyramids. We can get all sorts of things if he wants to talk about that. You know what he doesn't want to talk about? Winning football.
The big guy's bitter because he kept positing, what's the deal with not watching OKC and Indy?
I just think if you like basketball, you're going to keep watching basketball.
Hey, look, it's on my monitor right here, big guy. I'm watching. Take it easy. Scott Spritzer's watching, and he joins us next here. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Live betting reaction to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
I'll tell you what, Shea just makes it look easy on his way to the basket with two trees in front of him. Doesn't matter. As we welcome you back, you can check out the newsletter every morning. No obligation. Bill A.D. does a great job with it. VSiN.com/newsletter. You get your picks. You get free picks in there. You get your daily betting menu set up and sports menu as well. Go to VSiN.com/newsletter. Hey, speaking of the WNBA, there's Caitlin Clark sitting front row at the Pacers hosting the Thunder in Game 3. Right now, you've got the Oklahoma City Thunder 29, the Indiana Pacers 23. We're going to welcome in the aforementioned Scott Spreitzer, DocSports.com, DOCSports.com handicapper, at Scott Wins with 2 T's on Twitter. And he joins us. Scott, welcome. We've got plenty to do. Let's start with tonight's game. Your thought process going into this one with the Thunder laying 5.5.
Yeah, I thought sidewise this was the toughest handicap of the first 3 games thus far. So what I did a little bit bigger was Halliburton over his points total, which it was 17.5 to 18.5 in that neighborhood. Took Miles over on a couple of props, but yeah, so that was kind of what I was looking at, is if Indiana is going to keep this close, if they're going to have a chance to win this game and win this series, Halliburton's got to step up and be the leader and kind of be the catalyst for this team. And, we'll see. I mean, he comes out and he shoots 2 field goal attempts in like 7 minutes, which is just, I think, ridiculous that he's not shooting more. I think he's got 5 now, 5 points. But, it's just one of those things where I'm like, dude, you got to come down and take charge. And he doesn't seem to be the take charge player right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm on him as well, Scott. I went over on his points, rebounds, and assists combined. I think we're doing okay there because he has 4 assists, but this team is so different when he's scoring, when he's controlling the pace, right? When he's aggressive and getting buckets. But at this point, I've been hard on him about that. I was hard on Anthony Edwards. Yeah. I'm starting to think that it's not them. Oklahoma City's defense just might be that good, Scott. And I think that's why that total was dropping today. I don't know if you saw, we dropped about 2 points over the course of like 2 or 3 hours before tip-off. When you see a line move like that, are you nervous to jump in once it moves, or do you want to be a part of that market move?
I don't care. I mean, you know what? I'm not trying to be, rude or obnoxious here, but it's one of those things where if I like a game at a certain price and it stays within those parameters, I'm on them. Now, what I'll do is I'll look to see if, since I had made the bet, after I made the bet, if somebody got injured that could contribute to, what I hope happens. I do that. Perfect example was baseball yesterday. I had somebody online get a hold of me on Twitter and say, I was it yesterday? No, it was 2 days ago. I had the Rays and Red Sox over the total. And when I bet it, and 85% of the time, we've talked about it before, doing this for so long overnight, you're ahead of the line move, 85% of the time. Well, I wasn't. That line went from 8.5 down to 8, down to 7.5. So I got a couple of questions, direct messages on Twitter asking me, do you still like it? Do you still like it? Well, of course, I jumped in to see if there's somebody missing. Well, the final score ends up being, 18 runs or whatever. But we cashed the ticket. So when I was doing this early on, I would sweat that stuff. Now I'm just like, the only thing that I look for is somebody injured. And if there's not somebody who's going to hurt me being out injured, if it goes the other way, I like it even more. I really do.
31-24, 30 seconds to go in the first. Oklahoma City Thunder lead the Pacers. Scott Spreitzer joining us. So there's a lot to unpack with this Stanley Cup final. And Game 3 was a power play, regardless of how the penalty minutes were out of control. Let's start in net for Edmonton, because obviously Skinner, a lot of cheapies in Game 3. He did not look good. What do you think Knobloch does here between the pipes?
Well, it's tough to judge what he's going to do. I still like the under, though. I think adding somebody to the mix right now is not a bad idea. We talked about Skinner way back in the LA series, round 1, through the first couple of games, and he was just horrendous. I also think it's not completely his fault. These last couple of games, we've seen Edmonton doing a little bit less as far as focusing on keeping the opponent from taking quality shots on goal than they did in the previous 2 series. And like Dustin said, OKC's defense might have something to do with that stuff. Well, in this case, the Florida Panthers, looked like the best team in hockey, the best coach team in hockey too. And so they've made adjustments, and Skinner's been kind of on his heels, so to speak. But also Edmonton just lost their cool yesterday. I mean, you guys saw it, and I'm not saying anything that nobody didn't notice, but it was a situation where they just lost their cool. I would suspect they get back to playing disciplined hockey. They have to at this point. And that will help out as far as goals that cross the line and get into the net. Guys, what I did, and I can talk about it when you want, is I played Bobrovsky's saves again. And I had him over 24.5 in game one, over 25.5 in game two, and the price started going up. Over 25.5 in game three, price got to about $1.40 or so. Well, they finally bumped it up to 26.5 for this game. And you got to lay some juice with it. But I still think he gets it done, guys. I mean, if you look at Edmonton, they've averaged more shots on goal than any team in the league this season. They have 125 shots on goal through the first three games, 101 of those in regulation. They're going to have to continue to attack and take their shots. And it's just what they do, and they can't let up now. So I suspect he'll face at least 30, 32 regulation shots. And I think over 26.5 is not a bad way to go. I have dropped that, by the way, as far as my amount that I bet on Bobrovsky for this game as opposed to the first three. But boy, 116 saves in 3 games, including 42 in each of the first two, 33 in game three. And he has a 3.8, just shy of that, around 3.8 goals saved above expected in this series. So you can look and say, well, he gave up 4 goals in this game and 4 goals in that game. He's playing lights out hockey, as far as what he's been. And the fact that they were able to stop, I think it was back-to-back power plays by Edmonton when they could have still got back in the game the other day, last night. And I'm sitting and I'm watching it and I'm going, holy cow, they just held Edmonton to 2 total shots combined over 2 power plays. So they're just playing great hockey right now. I think it'll stay under, and I think Bobrovsky's over is the best bet on that.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by Bobrovsky in the Conn Smythe market. I'm looking at the numbers right now. I understand Sam Bennett with another goal, 4 goals in this series, and he's had a great postseason. But Bobrovsky at 7-1, if he stiffens up here in the final and he shuts down an offense with Draisaitl and McDavid, I feel like that's a little bit long there. However, Patrick and I are intrigued at one number. We discussed it yesterday. If the Oilers come back, McDavid plus 240, I think that makes sense. It's a little bit better of a price than you get on the series right now with Edmonton. But could I convince you, Scott, in a world where Leon Draisaitl at 13-1, based on what he can do offensively, that number feels a little bit too long in this situation?
Yeah. I think both of those guys are, like you said with Bobrovsky and with Draisaitl, a little bit long. I mean, to me, the MVP through 3 games is Bobrovsky. The guy stops, 42 shots in each of the first 2 games when you count overtime. So, yeah, I mean, it's not going to be just McDavid, and maybe McDavid gets his assist on power plays, but that means likely Draisaitl scoring. The only problem is, and I have no problem with this, but the only so-called problem is if there's an assist made by McDavid and Draisaitl scores on a power play, they're going to be screaming about McDavid with the pass. And, oh, look at him penetrate the defenders, and he skated around this guy at the blue line. What a pass. Oh, by the way, Draisaitl scored. That's the only issue I have with that.
Yeah, no, it's a great point because McDavid's been those two are incredible to watch. And they're going to need to do something tomorrow night. The price is right around $1.50-ish on Florida. You think now the goaltender is the issue, so it's hard to bet on Edmonton. I get it. You think that Edmonton makes adjustments and doesn't do what they did in Game 3, which is play right into Florida's hands.
Wasn't that crazy?
They wanted to get chippy with Florida. You don't want to do that.
They goaded them into everything that they wanted them to do, which is crazy that they could have that, mental advantage over such a talented roster. But that's what they did. They got them to do exactly what they wanted. It's a little bit too pricey for me, guys, to lay $1.50. I think there's been a little bit of an overreaction on the price. So I have to stay away from it. I've been trying to toss around whether I want to take the underdog price with Edmonton, but I'll probably just stick with Bobrovsky's save percentage and the under 6.5 goals. I mean, I don't want to lay $1.50. This has been anybody's series except for the last game, obviously, when they were able to, get control of them between the years, talking about Florida getting in control of Edmonton. But, we're 3 games into this series, guys. And to give Skinner a little bit of a break, 3 games into this series, and there have been 12 goals scored in 5-on-5 situations. That's it. That's 4 a game. Game 3 goes over the total with less than 4 minutes to go in regulation. There were 2 power plays in the third period, power play goals. That's the only way they scored in the third period. So I think Edmonton plays a much more disciplined game on Thursday, or they can kiss this series goodbye. Florida retaliated a bit in Game 3, but they did get, that great jump and figured out how to get Edmonton to make those stupid decisions. So again, 12 goals scored in 5-on-5 situations in this series kind of caught my eye. And with Edmonton having to play a more disciplined game, I would think that you see fewer goals in this one.
Oh man, and the market says so, Scott. It's juiced to the under, minus
Right.
125, plus $1, plus 105
Pinnacle's
on
6.
the over. Oh, they're at 6.
They're down to 6, huh? Yeah.
I mean, maybe we could talk betting strategy here, and it's more me using Scott on a national radio platform to give me betting advice. But I'm gonna be stubborn here. I'm betting Edmonton again. I was wrong last game with the plus price. I'm gonna do it again and maybe be wrong twice. But it just feels like these teams we believed after 2 games, Scott, were more evenly matched. I don't want to let one blowout at home for Florida take me away from the fact that I thought these teams were a coin flip.
I don't blame you. It wasn't like it was a well-played game and Florida was just 5 times better, or 5 goals better. It was they got in their heads. Edmonton fell apart. That was that. McDavid missed some time when he got a little banged up again. And so it wasn't like it was a well-played game where there wasn't a bunch of knuckleheadedness, as we make up words. And that's what we saw. So I have no problem with that because I think it's overpriced a little bit too high here. And so I would back Edmonton thinking they know they got to come back. They know they got to play a disciplined game if I was going to play a side here. But for me, it's going to be, what I said already, the under and the Bobrovsky save. I'm a little bit nervous about Bobrovsky keeps getting punched up now to 26.5. And again, you got to lay like $1.40 in a lot of shops to have that go over the total. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. That's why I'm dropping that actual wager down from where I've been the first couple of games.
Scott Spreitzer, professional handicapper, joins us here. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, 10:39 to play in the second. Oklahoma City 34, Indiana 28. So we'll keep you updated there. I don't know if it's Murphy's Law when it comes to betting, but I hadn't bet my Tigers in a while, and they won the opener in Baltimore last night. They got a pitching edge today, Mize versus Eflin. I got them plus 115, and they got beat 10-1. So that's Murphy's Law for you. That's baseball, Susan. You are going to trust my Tigers tomorrow in Game 3 of this set.
I haven't seen the alternate run line yet, but I'm going to go -1. Last I saw the money line about an hour ago was around $1.80, give or take a few cents. So try to knock about 50 cents off of that and lay a run here. When I match up this game, first of all, Dean Kramer can't pitch on the road. He has been decent at Camden Yards. So this isn't like, I'm going to jump all over this as the biggest play of the week or anything. But I don't think he's going to do well in this particular game. Detroit's really whacked him the last couple of times they faced this guy. He's not bad the first time through a batting order, but it gets a little ugly after that. I mean, he's got a decent ERA when it comes to the first time through, and then boy, it just balloons second time through and third time through if he makes it that far. And you've got Detroit who comes in, they're top 10 in both OPS and weighted runs created plus on the road against righties. And of course with Skubal, I mean, what do? You either play the guy or you stay away from the game. I'm not going to throw my money out there against him unless he goes into some kind of rut. We don't see that happening, but they're 6-1 in his last 7, 9-2 in his last 11. And his stats are out of this world elite. His stuff plus and pitching plus numbers, guys, are like 119 and 126. And to put that into perspective, Dean Kramer's stuff plus and pitching plus is under 100. It's like 96 and 98. And then you got Skubal, his fielding independent, $1.85, xERA 2.36. And I jumped in a little bit deeper. I wanted to see what Baltimore's been doing against Southpaws, even more than going to like Fangraphs and looking at weighted runs created plus and that kind of stuff. They're 1-9 at home against the run line when they face Southpaws. They average less than 3 runs per game. They get beat by 5 runs per game. So it's Skubal or nothing. I'm taking Skubal. I'm going to wait around to that -1 is available and jump in there and hopefully save 50 cents over the money line price.
I'm going to ask you the impossible question that Patrick and I go back and forth on. We have one side that we like better, but you could have one pitcher, one start this year. They're the Cy Young favorites. Are you going Skubal or are you going Paul Skeens?
You got to get tough on me. These questions, I'm telling you. I'm going to go Skubal just for right now.
That's the right answer.
I figured I would brown nose my way past this question, so because it's pretty darn even. But I love the fact, again, when you dig into the metrics, I don't know if the voters do, but when you dig into the metrics and you see those stuff in pitching plus, of 119 and 126, I mean, that's crazy. That's so elite. So I'm going to lean towards school ball for now. If I had to pick, like if I was starting a team and was going to have a rotation, I'd pick him like just over 1A, Skeens. That's the way I'd probably go here. Plus I knew Patrick would like that answer. So
That's it's the right answer. Let's be honest. The Thunder, the Pacers, a great start to the second quarter, have pulled within one. It's 36-35, 9:19 to play. I think they've outscored them 11-4, Indiana to start the second. So a nice little run from the Pacers there, big guy.
Hey, it's what we like to see, mostly because it's what we need. And all of a sudden, this is what you like to see. We bet Indiana plus 5.5 and on the money line. Yep. And now the spread is lower than what we bet. It's now 4.5. And the total's 227.5 plus 145 on the money line with the Pacers, minus 188 with Oklahoma City. The live betting, Scott, of the NBA is wild. I give people credit. It's an easy cop out in our world where people go, I don't bet pre-flop. I wait till the game starts. The NBA the sport where it's the wildest swings in terms of what you can get?
I haven't bet in game hardly at all this postseason because it has been crazy, like you just said. It's like watching a wrestling match, WCW, when you got one team dominating for the first half and the other team comes out and dominates for 8 minutes and back and forth, and 20-point leads go away like it's nothing. So I haven't bet in game hardly at all this postseason. So far, not at all in the finals here in the championship series. So it's not something I'm looking to do. I was just checking when you were giving the update on the score. I'm thinking, okay, cool. Halliburton's probably starting to shoot. Nope, 3 shots. That's it. So if they can get away with keeping this close, maybe even having a 1 or 2 point lead by halftime, and this guy's not taking over the game yet, I think we're in a pretty good spot with that plus 5.5. But yeah, back to in-game betting. I just don't do it. It's just too crazy right now, the NBA postseason.
Yeah, it's so volatile. We were having a brief conversation before we got on the air about the WNBA. Is that something like you used to really be into Canadian Football League? Yeah. I know a lot of bettors do focus on the WNBA. Right. It's not been my bailiwick, if I'm being completely honest. Do you get involved often in the WNBA?
Yeah, believe it or not, I handicap it every day. I handicap the CFL still. Wow. We only had one play last week. We played over, I think it was 26.5 points by Montreal. They ended up with 28. They had like 22 points with like 9 minutes to go in the third quarter and didn't score until they kicked a field goal with 25 points with about 25 seconds left. They're up 25-10. They kicked a field goal. It's like easy winner. So yeah, I still bet and handicap the CFL. I still bet and handicap the WNBA. And we're about 40 minutes from tip-off here in Las Vegas tonight. I actually played the first quarter and laid 2.5 in the first quarter tonight with the Aces. We'll see if that comes through. What I'm banking on isn't necessarily statistics or matchups. It's based on Becky Hammon and Asia Wilson being ticked off like I've never seen them before after they got blown off the floor in their last game, which is, I believe that's now their third loss, and they've hammered teams after their first 2 losses this season. And I saw Hammond in the post game and I'm going, holy cow, best coach in the WNBA, probably better than half the NBA head coaches. And she's ticked off. And so is Asia Wilson. So I don't do this often, but I'm banking on Las Vegas coming out steaming with a little emotion. Now, if they don't cover that number by the end of the first quarter, then it's back to the statistics guys. And who cares about who's bad?
Hey, I love that. On the CFL thing real quick, don't they have a weird quirky rule with something about go instead of onside kicks, going for it like a 4th and 20 situation that I feel like everyone in NFL circles is wanting to adopt?
Well, they have the one thing I believe it's you cannot, and I could be wrong with this, but you cannot just take a knee to win the game. I think you have to be moving forward on every play or attempting to. Oh. And so when there was 30 seconds left and they got down to about the 15-yard line, they're up by 15 with 30 seconds left. I had a couple of guys text me, oh, we're done. I go, I think they might kick a field goal here, which they did. In the NFL, you're done. You're not getting that field goal. Yeah. So it's along those lines. And so, but it's a league, the funny thing is about the WNBA, for me, it is so situational. I don't even have to watch the games. I do. It helps, I guess, a little bit, but I don't even have to watch it. It is so situational for me. The CFL, I tend to watch a little bit more of the games and watch a lot of games recorded, like 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm working. I've got the CFL games from that night that I'm watching if they were on American TV. So yeah, it is a situation where there's a rule in there, and somebody can probably clear this up if they're listening. but you can't just down it. You know, you have to look like you're trying to move forward. But again, do you kick a field goal? I guess you do. You could just run it into the pile. You know.
TJ McConnell's taken over. He's been quite a spark plug for Indiana here late in the first into the second quarter. So it is now the first lead for the Pacers by my math, 37-36 is where we stand right now. You're not heavy into the golf betting, are you?
Not at all, man. I just got that one guy I told you guys about down in Northridge, California, and he didn't send me plays yet this week, but he's 2-0 for me this year. Since we talked about the green jacket, and so he won that, and he won one more tournament, but I haven't heard from him yet. Getting a little concerned. I might have to text him later tonight, find out who he's got. I don't even attempt to handicap golf, guys. I used to play matchups. I stopped, and I just got a really good guy who's not a handicapper or a bettor. He handicaps golf and he bets golf, and that's it. And trust his thoughts on each tournament for about 5 years now. And I just like to play what he sends me, and we've done quite well. The best at this, by the way, guys, was Koken. Dave Koken was the best. He would have a 25-1 shot hit about every 3 tournaments, it felt like. So you could go 0 for 2 or 3 tournaments, and he's going to hit a 25-1 shot, and you're right back in the mix. But my guy down in Northridge does pretty well also.
Yeah, I miss the baseball Koken tweets. I miss them a lot. Yeah. They were the best, just crushing people, absolutely annihilating these managers. It was epic. I'm curious now because you brought up the CFL, you brought up WNBA, you don't do golf anymore. What's the weirdest sport you like consistently bet on? I feel like Scott Spreitzer at some point doing this, as long as you've bet on like Jai Alai or cricket or something like that.
I would bet on Jai Alai, even though it's rigged for the most part. But I keep trying to start this push in Las Vegas to bring Jai Alai back to the Strip like it used to be back in the good old days. And it's now basically in Florida and I think overseas, maybe South America, not sure. But I would love to have Jai Alai back here. And and you could play a Quinella in Jai Alai back in the day, and I would do that kind of stuff. But I'm trying to think of the weirdest. I guess I don't know if it's weird, but it's different. I love Aussie football. I love the AFL. And one of the reasons I think I love it is because it's in my wheelhouse. They start at midnight, 1 a.m. our time. And there's been a team that I bet on a couple of times already this year, Collingwood, which has done well for me. They had a squeaker last week. They won by 1 point. But I love these 145 points and you win by 1. That's cool stuff. But I do like the Australian Football League. That's probably the weirdest or the oddest one that I bet. I don't dip into the KBO anymore, guys. Once we got out of COVID, I left it alone.
But were you into it before COVID actually at one point?
A little bit.
Too?
Yeah, because it was another late night league that you could find online, never on TV, but you could find online before COVID. So, and even there was the Taiwanese league, which was a level or 2 below the KBO and the Japanese league that kind of messed with once in a while. So I was kind of prepared when we had the big shutdown and lockdown. I was like, when the KBO came back early, I'm like, okay, I know a thing or two about this league, but don't quite get into it as much as I used to.
Well, Korean baseball. Never heard anybody. Scott Spreitzer, Doc Sports, DOCsports.com. Scott wins with 2 T's on Twitter. Great stuff, Scott. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Take care, guys. Have a great one.
Okay, thank you. By the way, the bench scoring right now in favor of the Pacers, 19-0. And the Pacers lead 39-36. But that is the story. And another story is Oklahoma City. There's 7:27 to play in the second. They've got 4 points in the second.
So cold.
Their offense has gone completely cold.
No ball movement either. I don't know if that's just them not running their offense or if it's Indiana's defense and those scrappy guys off the bench doing something. But I noticed they're coming up court and they're just settling for really bad looks. SGA's done it a couple times here. I love it for our Pacers. They're up by 3 currently in the betting market. They're still catching 2.5 points as the underdog. Totals 222.5. So it's all positive for us there. But if I'm Rick Carlisle, I'm leaving these bench guys out there longer. They're making a dent and they're making a difference. And it's a wrinkle that Oklahoma City potentially didn't really prepare for.
Well, the big difference has been McConnell. If you've been watching the game, he has been all over the freaking place. He has 3 steals, 4 assists, in 5 minutes.
Well, his assist prop was set at 3.5. So he's already cleared that in the first half in 6 minutes of play. That lets you know the impact he's having.
I mean, he's literally played 5 minutes. He's got 2 points, 4 dimes, 3 steals. So that's about as good as it gets off the bench. Matherin has 9 off the bench.
Well, that's a big
off
X factor. If Matherin contributes anything offensively, Indiana's in the game.
Halliburton just 5. Siakam leads the way for the Pacers with 9. Elsewhere, Chet Holmgren has 15. By far and away the leading scorer. Gilgeous-Alexander has yet to get going. Just 6 points, 2 of 7 from the field.
Yeah, the 2 of 7 from the field is kind of shocking. Only took 1 3 and missed it, but he's normally a killer with that mid-range game. He also doesn't have rebounds, which is interesting. He's a guy who crashes the glass a lot for a guard. He gets a ton of boards, only has 2 rebounds, only has 1 assist. That goes to the ball movement point. Their leading assist guys, Caruso has 2, Wiggins has 2, both off the bench. The starting lineup, they're stagnant. They're not running their offense right.
All right, we've got Smasher Pass, Diamond Dish, and there's one team in particular, the odds have been going crazy to land Kevin Durant. We'll get to that next. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
NBA Finals is underway from Indy as the Pacers and Thunder look to take a 2-1 lead in the series. You can listen to the Thunder call right now on ESPN Channel 81, the Pacers broadcast on NBA Radio Channel 86, or the national feed on ESPN Radio Channel 80, also streaming on the SiriusXM app. And it you know what? Great game. Great game to start, because I'll tell you what, this Indiana team showing some fight, which is what they've shown the whole entire postseason. They were down 32-24, so they were down 8 after the first, and they have outscored the Thunder 23-10 here in the second. Got huge contributions from their bench, and they lead 47-42, 5:23 to play here in the second.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, I'm looking at the betting odds. The Indiana Pacers are now the favorite to win the game, -1.5, -130 on the money line. Got to keep it up, though. Got to limit this starting lineup for Oklahoma City. They've not been able to find a flow offensively since a really good start to the game. Since then, things have stalled, and it's been all Pacers. But we are now favored 2.5, our Indiana Pacers.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's been a great – listen, the bench has completely dominated for the Pacers here as, a shot clock violation on the Thunder, who have had a few of those and are just sloppy right now. So not a great second quarter by the Thunder. We'll see if they can settle down, but this has been a Pacers show for a while now. Big announcement 2 days ago. So we're on the Pacers plus 180.
But Benedict Mathurin, 14 points on the off the bench. In the first half, he's cleared his points total. He was 8.5 tonight. 14. He's on pace for a wild night. I don't know who had, let me see what he was to lead the game in scoring, because that could be a potential here. I'll find it. I have it in my phone. Oh, no, I have it right here. He's not listed. I got to find it in my phone. That's how deep down the betting board he was.
Caruso just hit a corner 3, so 49-45. The Pacers lead by 2. All right. We were talking about it as Halliburton misses. We're coming back in transition the other way with the Thunder. We'll keep you updated there. Wow, busy hands by the Pacers on D.
Defense has been great.
Their defense has been the story so far in the second quarter. There's no doubt about that. So we'll keep you updated as we watch the game live with you here on VSiN Live. We teased you a little bit, but let's do this. So Kevin Durant, next team odds via DraftKings. Now, I'm going to give you the odds, and then we'll give you the story. The San Antonio Spurs are -160. So if you don't know anything about betting, most likely they're going to get them. That's a big-time favorite in the betting market at -160. The Rockets are all the way up to 6-1. The Knicks are 8-1, and the Timberwolves are 8.5-1. So San Antonio is going to end up with Wemby and Kevin Durant, and obviously the point guard Fox. But here's the story: last Wednesday, Durant going to the Spurs was 9-1. This past weekend, just a few days ago, they were 7-1. Monday, they moved +110. And today on Wednesday, they're -160. Smoke, fire. Something's happening here.
Yeah, I think that a lot of this has to do with the Giannis market. Once it looks like Giannis is going to stay in Milwaukee. Those talks, according to all the reports, have cooled off. He never wanted or demanded a trade. The reports were always that, he was going to talk with his camp and they were going to figure out what was next. And now it seems like those talks have cooled. This must be plan B for San Antonio. I'm curious of the package because they have a lot of okay young players. They obviously have a lottery pick coming up in the draft. I'm curious what the package looks like because you said Fox, Wemby. It feels like they're untouchable. Chris Paul contractually probably has to be in the deal. Maybe Harrison Barnes is in the deal. But either way, they have enough tertiary pieces where whoever they trade to get Kevin Durant, they will end up having a very formidable lineup in the West. Obviously, Wemby's a freak. He's on a different level. But the way you can stretch and open up the offense with Durant on one side, De'Aaron Fox slashing to the lane, and then Wembanyama who can score from anywhere, this is going to be a fun team to watch next year if they pull off this deal.
Yeah, because Wemby kind of hangs out on the perimeter, so he's not going to get in the way. Be interesting. Yeah, very interesting. As the Thunder trail by 3, Jalen Williams had a great drive to the basket and did add the free throw. Here's SGA with a beautiful drive to the basket to tie the ball game up at 51 with a timeout 3:26 to play. I guarantee you go to the market and the Thunder are favorites again.
Right now, the Thunder are minus 2.5 point favorites, minus 154 on the money line, plus $1.20 with our Pacers, and the total's back up to 230.5.
That gives you an idea of what happens with the market in game. Be careful. It's not for the faint of heart. In-game betting in these streets. The big guy, of course. It's a big day for Dustin Swedelson. I'm sure he is. I don't know if he told his dad when he was mean to his dad, but
actually didn't.
Well, that's the only person he hasn't told. Rather tell strangers than your family, and that's for sure. He's laughing because he knows it's true. I literally caught him in the ultimate. That's actually true.
I forgot to tell them.
We should probably explain. Dustin's going to be hosting Cashing Out on VSiN after the program. And my guess is he's going to let people on social media know that he's doing it.
I did earlier today. I tweeted out earlier.
Yeah.
The VSiN account will tweet it out later. You got to let people know. Let people know where you're going to be. It's primetime hours, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern.
It is right there, smack dab in the middle of drive time for the third shift.
Yeah, in Tokyo.
for the third shift. But again, it's a big opportunity, and the big guy killed it on Monday. A little rotation with Greg Peterson, and Scott Seidenberg. But the big guy Mondays and Wednesdays right now. Last time we talked to you, you played, this is a crappy bet, this is a good bet. Do you have a fun segment set up for tonight on Cashing Out?
Yeah, we play the hits. It's called Dangerous or Donation. We're doing that again today. We're also going to go
run it back.
Three up, three down, and mano-y-mano, because we got to attack the baseball card.
That's why you had Googled the other day what mano-a-mano means. You were putting together a bit.
Yeah, because I realized that everyone gets it wrong. Everyone thinks it's man versus man. It's not man versus man. It's also not man versus food. It's hand in hand. So we look at the splits.
SGA was such a beautiful drive to go up 2. Siakam back the other way to tie it up at 53. We're back and forth here, people.
233.5. Totals 233.5 now. So
exciting basketball game.
A lot of under money came in, and now we're at 232.5. I'd think about taking the under now in game. I would think about it. I didn't say I would do it.
Hartstein with a big dunk to go back up 2. Dustin Swedelson, of course. That's so fun. You did it in closing tabs too. You go, do you know what mano-a-mano means?
Yeah,
it was a closing tab question. And that now that's not a tough brain to get in. It's a busy brain. But now I understand you were coming up with bits, and so you knew the definition of mano-a-mano.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's because you said it. You said it, so I looked it up, confirmed it, and then I used it as a segment. That's how my brain works. None of these are original ideas. Someone else does something, and I play off of it. I am Kyle Korver. I can't create my own shot. I have to play off of something else.
Segment. Hey, I like the idea. There's nothing wrong with that. Halliburton with a 3. That is good. A 3-point lead for the Pacers, 58-55. As SGA missed before that, SGA missed a mid-range. He's a little off. His drives to the hoop have been good, but he's just a little off right now. And we'll keep you updated on that one. Anything else to tease, Cashing Out?
Coming up on the show tonight, a great guest list. I will point that out. Did have a cancellation. Had to make a swap. Linda Cohn did cancel on me last minute. we did swap her out for a Sirius XM name everyone knows and loves. Rob Brender's going to join. He doesn't know that he's replacing someone who canceled, but I love Rob. We're going to talk hockey.
You got some big balls. That's all I'm going to tell you. You got some big ass balls.
What?
You asked Linda Cohn to come on a show that late at night?
I didn't ask. Jared asked for me. She's West Coast. U.S. Open preview as well. Have you looked at this course?
I'm just thinking about you. That's funny. That's funny. You guys thought you guys. She booked. She said yes, and she goes, "Wait, what? That's what." What? What time? With who?
She had something come up. She's a busy person.
Yeah, of course. We always do have something come up. What were you going to ask me?
U.S. Open. Have you seen this ridiculous course that they're playing the U.S. Open at in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Oakmont.
One, there's no water. So in lieu of water, there's sand everywhere. There's bunkers everywhere on this course. It's going to be mayhem.
U.S. Open courses are freaking brutal anyway.
I know.
Justin Thomas was tweeting about it today. Like, if you think you can come out here and shoot low on this course, I mean, it's going to finish up 2 under somewhere in there. These courses are brutal.
I saw a video of the course and I couldn't believe, because there's not a lot of trees. There's zero water involved, but there was a lot of, I was like, where is this? We're on the beach. It's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Brandon with a heads up. Linda Cohn did join Tori on Mad Dog Sports Radio yesterday. Apparently something didn't come up for that spot.
Yeah, I mean, because it's daytime. The sun's still
I
out.
hear you, brother. You're into the golf, huh? You're going to pick about 10 winners and see if one can hit?
No, I'm outsourcing that to our boy Spencer Aguiar. He's going to tell me what to bet.
Did you text him? Do you wonder who he's betting pre-tournament?
I'll get it for you
Did
tonight.
you ask him?
I'll get it tonight. He's going to give me
ask. Oh, is he going to join you on the show?
Yeah. I was going to ask him to join us Friday.
You're flying, brother. You are flying. I love you. You do have a good lineup. You do. So it's Aguiar, it's Brender, and who else?
My guy Adam Rosenberg, who does baseball stuff. A lot of good baseball props. And he wants to give out the Tigers to win the World Series tonight. We're going to discuss that.
Okay. Well, I'll be tuning in for that segment, as the big guy knows I was tuned in the other night. I don't know if I can go back to back, belly to belly.
I mean, that's a lot of watching your own product for you.
I'll do my best. Let's see. New caller here, Mike in the OC.
What's happening with you guys?
Not much.
What's going on? Hey, you know what I was thinking?
Well,
since Dustin's doing all these extra shows, by the way, does he get paid extra for that? Or is it just kind of in the salary? Oh, you do?
Of course.
Awesome. Why don't you talk to Steve and just take that, there's a spot open in the day right now. Have you heard about that?
Who do you think, who would you like to fill it? You want the big guy to fill that?
Why not, Patrick?
I agree. Why not?
Oh, what about you?
I don't know if he's at the top of the SiriusXM people's list, but
you got to be kidding me, right? You seen? I don't want to disparage
the
people.
big guy's big hour. Can we call it that?
What?
The big guy's big hour.
The big guy's big hour. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, you like that?
I don't know. I'm just
wait. You said you didn't want to disparage. You said you didn't want. What's the rumor?
To get too much into what's going on and everything like that.
Well, what is the rumor? I don't know anything.
No, I don't know either. But whoever they had there today, I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on. It's just ridiculous.
Oh my God.
Who was it? Who was in there, big guy?
I think it was Jared Stillman, who I like.
Oh.
With all due respect, I've never heard of him.
Yeah,
he's a Nashville guy, I believe. He's good.
I didn't say he wasn't good. I'm just saying I've never heard the name. But I'm out of the game.
They don't like anyone. That's their thing. If they don't know them, they don't like them. They're on the outside.
Your business is crazy. There's some guys in there that I don't get how they get shows. I got to be honest with you.
I hear you, brother.
I mean,
let me ask you.
You're talented as hell.
Outside of the big guy, who would you like to see fill that 1 hour shift?
Oh no, I'm talking about the 3 hour shift right now for the big guy.
Oh, 3 hours for Dustin Swedelson.
For now, you got a 3 hour deal right until, by the way, your coworker just saw him on TV at the NBA Finals, Mr. Whatever he's wearing today. Yeah, that's going to be crazy.
What is your why are you so antagonistic towards Stephen A?
It's just too much, isn't it, Patrick? It's just I don't like. It's me saying that. I don't like people overboard. Look, we get him on First Take. We get him thinking about running for president. We get him on this podcast. I just think it's a self-serving mechanism here coming over.
The irony is so incredible.
The irony is there are people driving off the road thinking Mike calls every show every day on the channel.
They're like, I get more Mike in the OC Monday through Friday than I get Stephen A. What is this guy talking about?
Can you imagine Stephen A. goes, hey, who you call a lot? You think he even knows who I am? What would I call that guy about?
Here's what I do know.
If he knew you,
here's what I do know. If he knew
Mm-hmm.
who you were, you'd become an immediate fan.
Yep.
I don't know about that.
Mike, there's a guy in the business that I used to talk a ton of smack about. And I used to make fun of him to Patrick. And it used to make Patrick laugh because not a lot of people trigger me. And then I saw the guy at the Super Bowl. I said hi to him. He couldn't have been nicer. And now I feel like an idiot for hating him the way I hated him.
Yeah, I guess.
Listen, what you don't know about yourself is if you called and Stephen A. said, Mike, I love your calls on the channel, you'd be telling everybody in your little group chats, you know what? I like this guy. There's something about him.
You think is he going to take any calls? How many calls is he going to take?
He told us he would.
He's going to take calls. What are you, crazy?
I say how many? How many do you predict? Because he's going to talk, has a monologue, 20 minutes, bam, right? You got commercials, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? 6 calls maybe? 2 hours?
So are you saying that you prefer listening to callers over the host?
I like the combination. That's what makes your station great. No, but it depends what you got. Today, Rooster had great guests on. Brian Wilson passed away and had some terrific, it just depends who it is, who's doing what. This guy, do you see him having a relationship with any of us? Hey,
listen.
How you doing out in White Plains? Huh?
Listen, nobody loves the callers more than me. We took calls for years and years and years. I'm a big fan of calls, but I do believe he's going to take calls. I do believe that. But I don't people let me explain something, Mike, or anybody else. I know you better than you know you. If you called in and Stephen A. said, Mike, I love your calls to the network, you would literally replay that for your family, but you just said you didn't like the guy. So you got to make up your mind.
And you mentioned Alan White Plains. I'm ready for the first time Alan White Plains goes toe-to-toe with Stephen A. That's why Stephen A. wants to be here. He knows we have the best callers. He knows he can do his thing and go at you guys. You guys can have good conversations.
Our buddy Alan White Plains. It'll be during the middle of the so it won't be like his last call to us when he had a couple of pops. I love you, Al. I swear. That sounds like that's good that they got some new juice in there. They got a kid from Nashville hosting. Somebody Stillman.
He's awesome on the weekends. I'm a fan of Carrington Harrison. I wonder if we'll hear him. I don't know if his local show in Kansas City conflicts with that time slot. There's a lot of really good people who host on the weekends. My guy, Chris Childers. Awesome guys.
I agree. I totally agree. What do you want? I just was coughing.
Everyone hates change. Everyone hates change. And here's what's going to happen.
That's true.
Just like what happened before, all of a sudden we're going to flip over to the Stephen A. Smith show, and they're going to be like, man, I really miss those other guys who were filling in over the course of a few months. And then Stephen A. Smith's going to be on the network, and we're going to talk to Mike 6 months later. He's going to be like, you know what? He's not a bad guy. I actually kind of like his show. At some point, you accept the change, you get used to the change, and it becomes your new normal.
You guys can't see his face after he finished with his soliloquy there. He acted like Gronkowski slamming the football into the turf.
Sometimes I start speaking and I don't know where it's going to end. I know there's things I want to say along the way, but I don't know if all of them are going to connect to each other. That time it happened to do it.
Well, we know a couple things. We know how your interview with Linda Cohn's going to end, and we know how the show's going to end. That's Closing Tabs. That's next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. wrap up today's show. You see what I did there? Yeah. By finishing all of the conversations we touched on today. This is Closing Tabs.
It's time to close some tabs. Close the show. By the way, 5.5. Oklahoma City's laying it second half. They're down 2. So if you didn't bet the game, you're laying 3.5 full game with Oklahoma City. That's a discount off the 5.5, which it closed before the game started. So just an idea of how that works. Big guy.
All right, closing tabs here, things that we touched on briefly in the program, didn't dive into. You always do this. You combine David Stern and Adam Silver, and you call the commissioner of the NBA David Silver. David Silver was a primary character on Beverly Hills 90210, played by Brian Austin Green. He dated Tori Spelling on the show.
Maybe that's where I got it. I mean, that's my wheelhouse. I'm 47 years old. 90210 that was the show. We used to go in high school, have 90210 parties, invite the girls you wanted to make out with.
Now, 90210 compare their TV ratings to what the NBA and NHL are doing right now. It's a different ballgame.
It's not even close, brother. 90210 is a freaking wagon.
Speaking of TGIF,
Childers?
Speaking of TV, TGIF, you said the chick who married the guy from the Canucks from TGIF. So you got some of it right. Candace Cameron from Full House married Valeri Bury, the brother. He was a Panther, not a Canuck. Pavel Bury played for the Canucks.
Well, I knew Pavel. Trust me, Pavel was the greater than sign Bury brother.
Oh,
he was a great player.
Pavel Bury was crazy.
Oh, she got the ratchet Bury.
Yeah, she settled for dollar store Bury. I thought this was interesting. Tyrese Halliburton the other day was talking about how he has a routine, and I guess when there's 60 minutes on the clock before the game, he eats goldfish. I think goldfish are one of the more underrated snacks, but I only ever see them when I go to like my friend's house who have kids. Like I feel like single adults don't normally buy goldfish, but I love goldfish.
Oh, top S tier.
Yeah.
Baked snack.
Cheese-It and goldfish.
Put your big ass hand in there. Go ahead. Get grubby with it. Pizza, goldfish, sleep.
We missed this from Monday, but Monday was the anniversary. What was Monday's date? The 9th. So it was June 9th, 2007. HBO aired the last episode of The Sopranos.
Oh, yeah.
That was our shot heard around the world.
Currently rewatching it. Everybody looking at their TV like, what happened?
Everyone's clicking the power button. Wait, I just turned it off. That's what it was? Did HBO mess up? Do I have to watch the replay for the West Coast? I need to know what happened.
People got upset, though. Still don't know what happened.
But they died.
Definitely died. Left up to your interpretation. David Chase wanted it that way.
Yeah, but they died. They definitely died.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, good job, Brandon. Good job by you, Ryan Smith. Hey, don't forget, an hour from now, Cashing Out with Dustin Swedelson over on VSiN. We'll see you tomorrow. VSiN Live. It's Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio.